Just double tap the screen like make like you're a lesbian, and let's get this done. You're still muted, darling.
Crystal, you're muted.
You're.
Oh, okay. My songs are on my album Ex Parte, and they are everywhere. You listen to music under the artist name CrystalJae, Jae. There's a couple of songs that I don't have out yet on an album. One day I will finish the album called Angry Atheist. You guys, I keep trying not to be angry, and every day on this app, I still am angry. And then at night, I go, why was I so angry at Jay Lux today? Like, what is the problem? I'm sorry. I'm trying not to be an angry atheist, I promise you. But I am, and that's the name of the album that's coming up next. It's called Angry Atheist. Hey, sis, how are you?
Oh, I'm good. Just sort of winding my day down.
Yeah, where are you in the world right now? Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego?
Paris.
You're in Paris. Oh my God. I want to be a globetrotter someday.
All right, I have a serious question. Is it true Paris smells like pee?
No. The subway, sure, but I mean, that's any major city.
Okay.
It doesn't smell any more pee than LA or San Francisco or Chicago.
The most pee city I have ever smelled is the French Quarter of New Orleans. That is the most pee smell. It beat New York and LA.
I'm sorry,
I guarantee, no, I swear, I was about to unmute and say New Orleans. I was going to say the same exact thing.
That's so funny.
Especially,
I have never smelled more pee than New Orleans.
Now keep in mind, I had been
it's
some
crazy.
time ago. Oh, sorry, I'll let you finish the thought. My bad.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I was
just
walking
gonna say,
in,
damn. You go.
Wait, Nick.
I love my friends.
No, I was just saying, I think I lagged because I was walking in and it reconnected to my Wi-Fi. So I think it was me. I think I interrupted you. So I was just saying something.
Well, so perhaps things have changed, but I've known people who have gone to Paris and they've said, oh, it's beautiful, the food there's delicious, I love the architecture, all these wonderful things, but they all said, the city does kind of smell like pee though. And everybody that I've heard say this, they say, yeah, the locals, from what they've heard, say that they've had a really old sewer system for God knows how long.
Yeah, I mean,
But,
once in a while, yeah. But I've been here a couple times now, so I don't think it's.
I mean, hey, it's not the worst deal breaker. I mean, there's some cities that smell like shit. I'd rather smell like piss than shit.
Yeah. But, I mean, it's a city. It's an old city.
It's an antique. What can you do?
Right? It's the patina.
Patina? I don't know what a patina is. Oh, Lord. I probably did at one point. What's a patina, baby? I don't know what that is.
It's like the tarnish old stuff gets, right? That kind of gives it character and
Oh, gives it that rustic, lived-in, cherished vibe. Gotcha.
And Nicholas, I think you know the person I was with today, if I'm not mistaken. Creative Camper.
Oh,
I love Creative Camper.
Go see Creative?
Well, she came up to see me in Paris while I was here. Yes.
Oh, I am so jealous. That's
me
awesome.
Too. That's really cool.
I don't know them, but that sounds awesome. I'm happy for you.
Oh, Creative is such a sweetheart. That is so cool that you guys got to meet up.
Oh yeah, and well, that I did go see the witch from The Witch in the Road Coat over in Roma's Coven. So that was what started this whole trip.
That's awesome. So you got to see both of them.
Mm-hmm.
That's phenomenal. I'm so happy for you.
You guys, the AI summary says debating if Paris smells like pee. Share your city's stinkiest spot.
Oh my
Wow.
God!
Wow.
Okay, like it's a
Okay,
toss-up between
Google.
the Tenderloin and the Mission. Seriously.
What have I done? I love that I
Yeah,
did
good
this.
job. Good job, Robin. No, and then I go back to Amsterdam tomorrow and then off to Berlin and then back to Helsinki.
Helsinki's a hell of a name. You gotta admit. It sounds
I
so fun to
love
say.
it is, and I really love Finland.
Lilith, hopefully
Nice.
you'll get a listen in because I'm about to do an Auntie sermon. So I just want to try if we can get like 12 more people in here. I know that Joel and Mezzo are live. It's always difficult. And I think Christ Before Jesus was live,
Yep.
but I saw him slide in here a second ago. So maybe he ended. I don't know. Zena May is also live. So there's a lot of creators live right now. But if you guys could go and just share this out, we're at 102 shares. Share it out to the Discords. Let them know I am about to do an anti-sermon because people inevitably come in here and go, oh, I missed the anti-sermon. So let them know that's what's about to happen. Today we're going to talk about Mahala, Oholibama, Basemeth, and the problems with Esau's wives.
Well, I'm going to drop down and listen because I got to start doing some packing because it's 8 here. So
Okie doke. I love you. Have a great day.
love you too.
Safe travels everywhere.
Au
Thanks.
revoir. Enjoy your macarons.
I have.
Have a croissant for me.
I've had that as well.
Little cheese, my croissant.
No, I will say au revoir. Nachadin.
Au revoir.
Plus.
Vous êtes le pont de mes
Ciao.
œufs.
Bon voyage.
Tati.
All right, y'all. I'm going to go ahead and get started with or without a large audience in here. This is going to be scholarly, so you might want to take some notes today, okay? We're going to get into some scholarly topics. We're going to learn some stuff today, okay? So here we go. Mahala, Oholibama, Basemeth, and the problems with Esau's wives. This sermon, we're going to do things a little differently. Usually in anti-sermons, we focus on one woman or maybe a small group and we tell their story. We sit with their story. We ask who they were, what happened to them, what the text says about them, and what the text refuses to say about them. I always say that, DC. That's how I remember. Oh, holy Obama. But today we're dealing with a messy group of women whose stories are tangled together in one of the most confusing genealogical messes in Genesis. Today we are talking about Esau's wives. And as we read these verses together, I want you to pay attention because there's a problem with the list. Now, I know we've already covered a few of Esau's wives before, Judith and Basemeth. And today we're going to talk about them again. But as I continued deeper into the genealogy and came across Mahalath, my research started getting muddy. The names didn't line up. The fathers didn't always line up. The women seemed to disappear and then suddenly reappear. One name gets reused for what may be an entirely different woman. And depending on which chapter you're reading, you can walk away thinking Esau had 3 wives, 4 wives, or 6 wives. So today we're going to do something important. We're going to stop pretending difficult passages don't exist. We're going to read the verses honestly. We're going to ask why the text looks this way. We're going to talk about textual criticism. We're going to talk about doublets. And we're going to talk about the documentary hypothesis. We're going to talk about why scholars began noticing that some stories in Genesis appear layered together from multiple traditions. And yes, today's sermon is going to get scholarly because women cannot afford to be discouraged from education. If we're going to tell these women's stories honestly, then when the text becomes complicated, we cannot just hand wave it away with, well, God said it, so don't ask questions. Or, well, it's been translated so many times. No, we cannot keep making excuses for ignorance. We have to ask questions, we have to learn, we have to study, because uneducated people are easier to control. And women especially have historically been punished for asking difficult questions about religion, history, and power. So today, we're going to do the opposite. Today, we're going to lean into the complexity. We are going to hear what the rabbi said. We're going to hear what Christian apologists say. We are going to hear what modern scholars say. And then after all that, we're going to bring it back to the women themselves, because underneath all the confusion, all the genealogy, all the arguments over sources and traditions and contradictions, there are still women here. Women whose names shift, whose identities blur together, whose stories became unstable depending on who was telling them. Today's sermon is the problem with Esau's wives. The wives of Esau and when they are introduced. So let's start where we should always start, with the text itself. Because before we can talk about contradictions, before we can talk about doublets, before we can talk about source traditions and documentary hypothesis, we need to actually read the verses. And as we read them, I want you to pay attention to the names, pay attention to the fathers, pay attention to who appears and who disappears, because this is where the problem begins. This is where I saw the tension. This is where, frankly, I got confused doing my research. The first time Esau's wives are introduced in Genesis chapter 26, verses 34 and 35. When Esau was 40 years old, he took as wife Judith, the daughter of Beeri, I'm not sure, the Hittite, and Basemath, the daughter of Elon, the Hittite. They grieved Isaac and Rebekah's spirits. So here we are introduced to two women, Judith and Basemath, both connected to Hittite families. And the text immediately tells us something important. The marriages upset Isaac and Rebekah. And we talked about that in my other sermon because that tension matters. It becomes part of the story later. Then we move forward to Genesis 28. And this is where another woman enters the story. Genesis 28, 8 and 9. Esau saw that the daughters of Canaan didn't please Isaac, his father. Esau went to Ishmael and took, in addition to the wives that he had, Mahalath, the daughter of Ishmael, Abraham's son, the sister of Nebaioth, I might be pronouncing that name wrong, I'm sorry, to be his wife. I know I butcher these Hebrew names. When I do the podcast, I try to have them spelled out phonetically for me because they're very difficult for me. Now pay attention to the wording there. In addition to the wives that he had, meaning Judith and Basemath, are still already present in the story. And now Esau adds Mahalath. Why? Because he realizes his parents disapprove of his marriages. So instead of changing himself, because why would a man do that, he adds another woman. Remember that because we're coming back to that later. Remember that because we're coming back to that later. Now we jump ahead again to Genesis 36 and suddenly the list changes. Genesis 36, 2 and 3 says, Esau took his wives from daughters of Canaan. Adah, the daughter of Elon, the Hittite. Oholibamah, the daughter of Anah, the daughter of Zibeon, the Hivite. And Basemath, Ishmael's daughter, sister of Nebaioth. Now wait a minute. Because suddenly Judith is gone. Ada appears. Mahalath disappears. Basemeth appears again, but this time she is Ishmael's daughter. Are you seeing the problem now? Can you see why I got confused? Because this is no longer a clean genealogy. The names don't line up. The fathers don't line up. And depending on which chapter you're reading, you can end up with entirely different lists of women attached to Esau. And then what do you do with that when you're trying to write a sermon for every woman, named or unnamed? Frankly, I wasn't sure what to do with that. The women, their names, and the problem with the lists. Now, before we go any deeper into the scholarship, I want to stop for a moment and actually look at these women themselves, because that's what I'm doing here, right? That's what we're all doing. We want to learn about these women. One of the things I say over and over again in Auntie Sermons is that names matter. Ancient people cared deeply about names. Names could reflect identity, family, hope, status, religion, personality, or even the circumstances surrounding someone's birth. And sometimes in the Bible, names become part of the storytelling itself. Justin and I actually talked about that this week when we talked about this sermon. We talked about how sometimes if you read the names in the Bible, the names themselves tell you something about the character. Almost like whoever preserved the story remembered the trait before they remembered the person. Kind of like nicknames become identities, like someone becoming known as Fat Albert or Red Skeleton or Carrot Top, a physical trait or a personality trait, something memorable that slowly becomes attached to the person themselves. So before we can talk about why the list is messy, let's actually look at the women in the list. The first woman introduced is Judith. If a friendly requests up, you can bring them up. If they're not friendly, please just leave them in the box. Judith is introduced in Genesis 26 as the daughter of Beeri the Hittite. Her name comes from the same root as Judah and is usually understood to mean praised woman or woman of praise. And honestly, that is a strong name. In Esau's household, Judith is one of the first two wives we meet. She is one of the women who becomes part of the family conflict between Genesis, because Genesis tells us these marriages grieved Isaac and Rebekah. Then we have Basemeth. And this is where the problem begins, because there are two Basemeths in the Esau wife material. The first Basemeth is introduced in Genesis 26 as the daughter of Elon the Hittite. Basemeth is usually understood to mean fragrance, perfume, or sweet smelling. And I actually think that's interesting because fragrance language in the ancient world often carried ideas of attractiveness, desirability, luxury, beauty, and status. This Basemeth is connected to the Hittite family line through Elon. She is introduced alongside Judith as one of the wives whose marriage to Esau grieved Isaac and Rebekah. Then we get Mahalath. Mahalath is introduced in Genesis 28 as the daughter of Ishmael, Abraham's son, and the sister of Nebaioth. I cannot say that name. I'm going to say it different every time. It's spelled Nebaioth. Okay? And Mahalath is where things start getting interesting because scholars debate her name a bit, depending on the Hebrew word being used. Mahalath can possibly mean sickness, weakness, or disease. But other scholars connect it to music and instruments, giving meanings closer to song, musician, or stringed instrument. And those are wildly different emotional meanings. One interpretation sounds tragic. The other sounds artistic. In Esau's household, Mahalath enters the story after Esau realizes that the daughters of Canaan did not please Isaac. So Mahalath is not just another wife in the list. She is the wife Esau adds after he realizes there is a family problem. He sees that his parents are upset about his marriage, and instead of changing himself, he brings in another woman. We are absolutely coming back to that. Then we have Ada. Ada appears in Genesis 36 as the daughter of Elon the Hittite. Ada usually means ornament, adornment, or beauty. And that fits a pattern we see repeatedly with women's names in Genesis, where women are often linguistically tied to beauty, desirability, or presentation. Her family connection is the important clue, because in Genesis 26, Basemath is the daughter of Elon the Hittite, but in Genesis 36, Ada is the daughter of Elon the Hittite. So many interpreters look at it that way. Wait, is Ada the same woman as Basemath? Did the same woman get married under two names? Or are we dealing with two different traditions? Then we get to Oholibama. And yes, I know half of us feel like we need a phonics lesson every time we try to say the name. Oholibama. Oholibama appears in Genesis 36 as the daughter of Anah and the daughter or granddaughter of Zibeon the Hivite. Her name is generally understood to mean tent of the high place, tent of the hill, or tent of the high place of worship. And that is a fascinating name, because it may carry religious or cultic-like associations connected to elevated worship sites, which honestly makes her sound mysterious as hell compared to some of the other wives. In Esau's household, Oholibama appears in the Genesis 36 wife list. But here is the problem. She does not appear back in Genesis 26. In Genesis 26, the woman listed with Basemath is Judith. But in Genesis 36, Judith is gone and Oholibama is there. So now we have to ask, did Judith disappear? Did Oholibama replace her? Are Judith and Oholibama supposed to be the same woman? Or are these two different traditions being put beside each other? Then we have Basemath again. But this time Basemath is not the daughter of Elon the Hittite. In Genesis 36, Basemath is Ishmael's daughter and the sister of Nebaioth. Again, can't say it. And that matters because that is exactly how Mahalath was described in Genesis 28. Mahalath is daughter of Ishmael and sister of Nebaioth. Basemath in Genesis 36 is the daughter of Ishmael and the sister of Nebaioth. So this second Basemath appears to line up with Mahalath, which means Basemath may be the name used in one tradition, while Mahalath is the name used in another. And that is why this genealogy gets so messy. Now let's put the list side by side. Genesis 26 gives us Judith, daughter of Beri the Hittite, Basemath, daughter of Elon the Hittite. Genesis 28 gives us Mahalath, daughter of Ishmael, sister of Nebaioth. Genesis 36 gives us Ada, daughter of Elon the Hittite, Oholibama, daughter of Anah, connected to Zibeon the Hivite, Basemath, daughter of Ishmael, sister of Nebaioth. So now you can see the problem clearly. Basemath changes identity. In one place, she is connected to Elon. In another place, she is connected to Ishmael. Mahalath appears to become Basemath. Judith disappears. Ada appears. Oholibama may be replacing Judith, but that is the messiest and the least clean connection. And this is where I had to stop. Are these different women? Are these the same women with different names? Are these different traditions that got combined together? Because when you are trying to write a sermon for every named or unnamed woman in Genesis, these things matter. If Ada and Basemath are the same women, do I preach them separately? And Mahalath and Basemath are the same women, do I treat them as two women or one? If Judith disappears and Oholibama appears, what do I do with that? And honestly, that is why this sermon has to deal with the problem directly. Because these women are not being remembered in one clean, unified family line. Their names shift, their fathers shift, their identities blur. And before we jump to the rabbis or the apologists or the scholars, we needed to actually sit with that problem. Because underneath all of this confusion, there are still women here, women with names. Women with family connections, women with roles in Esau's household, women whose identities became unstable in the text itself. What is textual criticism? Now, before we go any further, I want you to know that I'm going to start using some terms that are used in biblical scholarship. And you might hear these terms sometimes when you are watching videos online and listening to people like Dr. Joshua Bowen or Dan McClellan or my friend Justin, Deconstruction Zone, because some of us start reading the Bible closely and we start noticing weird things. Names changing, stories repeating, contradictions, genealogies that don't quite fit together. And then suddenly you hear a scholar use a word like doublet. And you're sitting there like, what the hell is a doublet? Or maybe you hear the term textual criticism or documentary hypothesis. That can all sound intimidating. Maybe you have heard textual criticism is just atheists attacking the Bible, but that's not actually what textual criticism is. So before we go on talking about Esau's wives and doublets and all the stuff we need, let's take a minute and explain some of these terms first. Because I do not make my sermons for Bible scholars. My sermons are for women just like me. Women who were handed apologetics instead of answers. Women who were told, don't question it. Just have faith. God said it. That settles it. If God calls you to it, he'll see you through it. And 57 other Christian bumper sticker slogans. But then one day, we actually read the Bible. And suddenly we notice things nobody prepared us for. So let's start simple. Textual criticism is basically the study of how ancient texts got written, copied, edited, translated, and passed down over time. That's it. That sounds way less scary when you say it like that, right? Because the reality is the Bible did not float down from heaven in leather binding with gold-edged pages and Jesus's words in red. Human beings wrote these texts. Human beings copied these texts. Human beings preserved these stories, and ancient people did not preserve stories the way we do today. Today, if you write a book, you probably have one author, one final draft, one official version. Ancient cultures did not work like that. A lot of these stories existed orally first, meaning people told them out loud for generations. Families passed them down, tribes passed them down, communities passed them down, and sometimes different communities preserved different versions of the same core story. That is where some of these weird inconsistencies come from. Justin explained this in a way I thought was really helpful. He said, imagine two neighboring communities, both preserving stories about the same historical event. Over time, the stories start sounding a little different. One group remembers certain details, another group remembers different details. One changes names, one changes locations, one emphasizes one character more than another. And then later, somebody tries to merge those traditions together into one larger national story. That is much closer to what scholars think happened with parts of Genesis. Not one guy sitting alone writing a perfect book from beginning to end, but generations of people preserving traditions and eventually combining them together. And when those stories got merged, sometimes you still see the seams. That is where the terms like doublet come from. A doublet is basically when two stories in the Bible look suspiciously suspiciously similar. Like, wait, didn't this already happen? Sarah gets taken by a ruler, then a similar thing happens again. Water comes from a rock, then later water comes from a rock again. And when we get to Esau's wives, where suddenly names overlap but fathers don't match. One woman has one father in one chapter and another father in another chapter. And instead of pretending nobody notices that, scholars study it because inconsistencies can tell us something about how the text developed over time. And studying how a text developed is normal. We do this with ancient history all the time. Scholars study Homer, Egyptian text, Roman history. And those texts talk about gods and supernatural events too. Many of the scholars studying those texts do not personally believe those events literally happened. But nobody panics when historians compare copies of Julius Caesar's manuscripts. The second an atheist studies the Bible historically, though, people lose their freaking minds. Now, another term you will hear is documentary hypothesis. And honestly, when I first heard that phrase, I thought it had something to do with somebody making a movie about the Bible, like the documentary hypothesis. I was like, oh, okay, Ken Burns presents Exodus, but that's not what it means. The basic idea is actually pretty simple. Biblical scholars notice that parts of the Bible sometimes sound like they came from different sources or traditions that eventually got woven together. Different styles, different names for God, different repeated stories, different genealogies, different political viewpoints. And scholars started asking, what if these stories came from multiple traditions and eventually got edited together? That is the documentary hypothesis in the most basic everyday language possible. And this is where you will sometimes hear scholars use terms like J, E, P, and D. But don't panic. These are not secret Bible codes. They are just labels scholars use for different traditions or source groups they think may exist inside the first books of the Bible. J stands for Yahwist source because it tends to use the divine name of Yahweh. E stands for the Elohist source because it tends to use Elohim. P stands for priestly source because it focuses heavily on priesthood, genealogies, purity laws, rituals, measurements, temple systems, and order. And D stands for Deuteronomist because scholars think parts of Deuteronomy and related material share a similar style and theology. Now, before somebody in the comments starts hyperventilating, this does not mean scholars found 4 original Bibles hidden in a cave somewhere. That is not what anybody is saying. Scholars are looking at patterns, writing styles, repeated stories, political viewpoints, divine names, contradictions, and genealogy. And over time, they started noticing, hey, these sections sound different from each other. Kind of like how if you listen to enough podcasts, eventually you can recognize which host is talking just by their tone and wording. That is basically what scholars are doing with biblical texts. Once somebody points it out, you start seeing it everywhere. The more closely you read Genesis, the more sense this starts to make. Because suddenly weird things stop feeling random. Now you start seeing ancient people try to preserve sacred tradition from different communities and merge them together instead of throwing any away. And personally, that made the Bible more interesting to me, not less. Because now I'm not just looking at a flat storybook. Now I'm looking at ancient tribes, ancient politics, migration, war, refugees, storytelling, fanfic, memory, communities trying to preserve identity after collapse. And that is fucking fascinating. And I think every woman should know this too. How the rabbis explain the problem. Now, obviously, Jewish rabbis noticed these contradictions too, because contrary to what some Christians seem to think, people in the ancient world were not stupid. They could read. They noticed when names changed. They noticed when genealogies did not line up. They noticed when one woman seemed to disappear and another suddenly appeared. So the rabbis had to wrestle with these verses too. And traditionally, most rabbinic explanations try to harmonize the lists instead of treating them like contradictions. Meaning, instead of saying these are different traditions stitched together, they usually try to explain how the verses could still fit together as one unified story. One of the most common explanations was that some of the women may have had multiple names. And honestly, that is not unusual for the ancient world. People could have family names, regional names, nicknames, titles, marriage names, or names connected to personal traits. So rather than seeing separate women in every version of the genealogy, many rabbis tried to identify which women they believed were actually the same person appearing under different names. This is especially important when we get to the places where one woman seems to disappear and another suddenly appears in her place. Traditional Jewish interpreters often tried to preserve continuity instead of assuming the text was preserving competing traditions. Some rabbis also suggested that certain names function more like descriptions than strict legal birth names, which connects back to what I talked about earlier when I mentioned my conversation with Justin. Sometimes names in ancient storytelling almost felt attached to memorable characteristics, family roles, or identity markers, meaning over generations, a descriptor can slowly become attached to the person themselves. Another thing rabbis focused heavily on was genealogy, because genealogy mattered enormously in the ancient world. Lineage determined inheritance, tribal identity, political legitimacy, religious status, and land rights. So genealogies were not always trying to function like modern biographies. They were often trying to preserve tribal and family relationships. And that helps explain why some Genesis genealogies feel strange to modern readers, because we tend to read genealogies like Ancestry.com. Ancient people often used genealogy more like political and tribal storytelling. Now, here is something important though. Even when rabbis harmonized these stories, they were still acknowledging the problem existed. That matters, because sometimes modern Christians act like noticing contradictions means you hate the Bible. But Jewish interpreters have been wrestling with difficult passages for centuries. Questioning difficult verses is not new. Trying to reconcile inconsistencies is not new. The rabbis noticed these problems too. They just approached the problem differently than modern biblical scholarship tends to approach it. Christian apologetic explanations. Now, if you go looking for Christian apologetic explanations for all of this, most of them begin with one central assumption. There cannot be a contradiction. That is the starting point. Not what happened here, not why do these traditions differ, but how can these verses still fit together without error? And once that becomes the goal, the entire approach changes. Because apologetics is usually not trying to determine whether tension exists in the text. It is trying to explain why the tension does not count as a contradiction. So most Christian apologetic explanation for Esau's wives fall into a few major categories. The first is the multiple name theory. This is probably the most common explanation. Apologists will argue that women in the ancient world often had more than one name. So Ada and Basemoth may be the same woman, or Mahalath and Basemoth may be the same woman. For example, the Christian commentary tradition around Genesis 36 often argues that Basemoth, listed as Ishmael's daughter, is actually Mahalath under another name, because both women are described as daughters of Ishmael and sister of Nebaioth. And that's how you say his name, because now I have the phonetical spelling right there. I should have had it earlier. Meanwhile, Ada is often identified with the earlier Basemoth connected to Elon the Hittite, and Oholibama is sometimes identified with Judith. That is the standard harmonization attempt. Another apologetic explanation focuses on selective genealogy. In other words, the list may not have been intended as full modern style records. Some Christian commentators argue that Genesis 26 gives one version of Esau's wives early in the story, while Genesis 36 reflects later tribal or political genealogies connected to Edom. Others argue one list may emphasize ethnicity, while another emphasizes inheritance lines or clan structures. Some will argue these are not contradictions, because ancient genealogies routinely skip details, rename people, or collapse generations. And to be fair, ancient genealogies really did work differently than modern family records. But this is where apologetics often starts becoming extremely complicated, because now you are trying to explain why names change, why fathers change, why women disappear, why new women appear, and why the lists do not line up clearly. And usually at that point, the apologetic answer becomes something like, there is probably an explanation, even if we no longer know exactly what it is. You can see see this kind of reasoning in many conservative Christian study Bibles and apologetic ministries. Writers like Gleason Archer, Norman Geisler, and organizations like Got Questions or Answers in Genesis often approach these passages assuming harmony must exist even if the exact reconstruction is uncertain. And this is where I think the conversation gets really important, because whether you are a rabbi harmonizing the text, a Christian apologist harmonizing the text, or a modern scholar proposing source traditions, you are still acknowledging the same reality. There is something in the text that requires explanation. Nobody builds elaborate harmonizations for passages that are perfectly straightforward. Nobody creates charts, genealogical reconstructions, alternate name theories, and timeline arguments unless there is a visible tension sitting in the text itself. That is the point. And I think sometimes apologetics become so focused on defending the perfection of the text that it stops allowing the text to simply be ancient. Ancient texts are messy. Oral traditions are messy. Genealogies are messy. Human memory is messy. Family histories are messy. And I think there is something more intellectually honest about admitting, yes, this is complicated, than pretending every problem disappears if we just rearrange enough names on a chart. Another thing worth mentioning here is that scholarship itself has evolved far beyond the old simplistic versions people argue about. A lot of Christians still talk about the documentary hypothesis as if scholars universally teach one neat JEPD system exactly the way it was taught 100 years ago. But modern scholarship has become much more complicated than that. Some scholars still use JEPD language. Some modify it heavily. Some argue for additional editorial layers. Some think certain sources were combined much later than originally proposed. Some think the old Wellhausen model was too neat and too rigid. Even some Christian Old Testament scholars acknowledge that the Pentateuch likely went through multiple stages of composition and editing. So even scholarship itself continues evolving, because scholarship changes when new evidence, new methods, and new ideas emerge. This is how historical study works. And for me personally, watching people wrestle honestly with difficult texts is far more interesting than pretending the difficulties are not there at all. I'm sorry, there is a problem in my thing. Okay. Extra biblical traditions and the reality of oral history. So if you've heard any of my Auntie Sermons before, then you already know the Bible is not the only source talking about these people and genealogies. Ancient Jewish writers, historians, and religious traditions continued talking about biblical figures long after Genesis was written. And sometimes those later traditions try to explain confusing passages too. One major example is Josephus. Josephus was a first century Jewish historian writing during the time of the Roman Empire. And what's interesting is that when Josephus retells biblical history, he often cleans things up. He smooths over tension. He reorganizes confusing material. He retells stories in a way that feel more unified and easier to follow. And you can actually see him doing that with Esau's wives. In Genesis, the genealogies feel unstable. Judith disappears. Mahalath seems to become Basemoth. Ada suddenly appears attached to Elon. The names shift, the fathers shift. The list refused to line up clearly. But when Josephus retells the story in Antiquities of the Jews, he basically streamlines the wives into one cleaner genealogy. Instead of sitting in all the confusion and contradiction, Josephus presents Esau's wives more cleanly as Ada, Aholibama, and Basemoth. He does not spend time wrestling with, wait, is Mahalath the same woman as Basemoth? He does not stop and ask, what happened to Judith? He simply smooths the genealogy into something more organized and easier for readers to follow, and that is exactly the point. Josephus is showing us that ancient readers recognized that genealogy was difficult too. Because if the genealogy already read perfectly clearly, there would be no reason to reorganize it. Then you have texts like Jubilees. The book of Jubilees is an ancient Jewish retelling of Genesis and Exodus. And Jubilees loves adding details, extra names, extra timelines, extra explanations, especially for women. Women who remain unnamed in Genesis suddenly get names in later traditions. And what that tells me is that ancient readers were uncomfortable with silence in the text too. They wanted complete family lines. They wanted explanations. They wanted the stories organized because oral tradition is messy. Stories shift over generations. Names change, pronunciations, families merge, tribes merge, communities merge, political alliances change, and genealogies in the ancient world were not functioning the way they do now. Today, we think genealogy means birth certificate, exact dates, legal documents, DNA tests. Ancient genealogies often function more like tribal memory. They were preserved alliances, inheritances, land claims, ethnic identity, religious legitimacy, and political relationships. Sometimes genealogy was less about here is every exact biological detail and more about here is who belongs to us. And once you understand that, Genesis starts reading very differently because now these genealogies are not just random lists of names. They are identity documents, political documents, tribal documents. And oral tradition complicated all of that even further because oral storytelling cultures preserve stories differently than written cultures do. Certain names become more important. Certain stories grow. Some traditions survive in one region and disappear in another. And Justin and I talked about this too when we were discussing how multiple communities can preserve different versions of the same core tradition. And once those traditions eventually get merged together, sometimes you can still see fingerprints of the older tradition underneath. That is part of why scholars study naming customs so carefully, because names in the ancient world were much more fluid than modern Western readers are used to. A person might be known by a birth name, a clan identity, a title, a nickname, a regional variation, or a name translated into another language tradition. And women especially became unstable in genealogical records because women were often recorded relationally, I can talk, daughter of, sister of, wife of, mother of. Their identity was constantly tied to male lineage structures. So when traditions merged over centuries, women's names became especially vulnerable to confusion, replacement, overlap, reinterpretation, and erasure. Which brings us right back to Esau's wives. Because when you place these women inside the reality of oral traditions, tribal genealogy, shifting names, and centuries of retelling, the confusion stops feeling accidental. It starts feeling exactly like what happens when ancient traditions evolve across generations while different communities try to preserve them. That's what men do sometimes instead of fixing what is wrong with them. They lean on a woman. They lean on her emotionally, socially, spiritually, publicly. And sometimes they lean so hard that eventually the woman underneath them starts collapsing because she was never supposed to carry the full weight of another person's unresolved trauma, family dysfunction, reputation, addiction, immaturity, insecurity, or emotional instability. That is too much weight for one human being. And I think there is something deeply sad about the way Mahalath enters this story. She enters it as a solution, not as a person. Not because Esau suddenly had some great revelation about who she was, but because he realized, my parents are unhappy with me. And instead of confronting the deeper issue, another woman gets folded into the family system, hoping her presence will calm the tension. Women have been carrying that burden for men for thousands of years. And some of you listening to me right now know exactly what that feels like. You became the stabilizer, the fixer, the emotional support system, the peacekeeper, the respectable face, the woman everybody would somehow heal, the woman everybody hoped would somehow heal a broken man. And maybe you loved him. Maybe you genuinely thought, if I love him enough, maybe things will finally get better. But love by itself cannot heal dysfunction that somebody refuses to confront. And one of the hardest lessons many women ever learn is this: you cannot carry somebody into emotional maturity. They have to choose that for themselves. And so, what is this lesson? Well, for me, I think the biggest thing Esau's wives have taught me is that the problem has never been that there is some God up in the sky who thought women weren't worth remembering. Their story actually points me in the opposite direction entirely, because this does not read like divine storytelling. It reads like human storytelling. Human storytelling is messy. It forgets things. People mix up names. They forget dates. They confuse places. Stories get stitched together. Communities preserve different versions. Families remember things differently. And women, especially, get blurred together in patriarchal systems where their identities are tied to fathers, husbands, brothers, and sons. That is what Esau's wives feel like to me. Not evidence of a God who hated women, but evidence of human beings trying to preserve stories across generations without realizing how much would eventually become tangled together. And once you look at it through that lens, so much of the Bible suddenly makes more sense. Of course, names get mixed up. Do you know how many times my own parents called me my siblings' names growing up? My mom actually used to call me the dogs' names when she was angry. I've probably done it to my own children too. Now imagine a world without recording devices, no audio recordings, no printed books, no phones, no cloud storage, no Google Docs. No easy way to preserve stories except oral tradition. A father tells a story but accidentally says one daughter's name instead of another. A brother repeats the story slightly different years later. A community preserves one version. Another community preserves another version. Then centuries pass, the stories merge together, and eventually later readers are left trying to figure out, wait, which woman was this really about? That is the reality we are dealing with, not some divine supercomputer perfectly dictating every syllable from heaven. Human beings told these stories. Human beings preserved these stories. Human beings stitched these traditions together over centuries. And human beings carry biases. They carry prejudice. They carry patriarchy. And because women are often not valued equally in these ancient systems, women's identities became especially vulnerable to confusion, overlap, reinterpretation, and erasure. And strangely enough, that explanation makes far more sense to me than trying to believe that there is an all-knowing, all-loving God somewhere intentionally scrambling women's identities while demanding we call that confusion perfection. No, this looks human, deeply human, beautiful sometimes, painful sometimes, wise and cruel, contradictory. Exactly what you would expect from ancient tribes trying to answer the great questions of life through storytelling, memory, religion, survival, and identity. And maybe there's another lesson hiding underneath all of this too. Women are not here to fix men. Women are not emotional rehabilitation centers. Women are not support scaffolding for unresolved male dysfunction. Men have to do their own work. Men have to confront their own pain. Men have to do the therapy. Men have to learn emotional maturity. They need to cry. They need to express themselves. They need friendship. They need softness and honesty. Men need to stop being taught that vulnerability makes them weak. If a man wants healing, he cannot keep outsourcing that labor onto women. No wife can carry somebody into emotional maturity. Men have to choose that for themselves. And maybe that is one final thing these women teach us. When society refuses to value women as full human beings, women become blurred together, used, repositioned, forgotten, expected to stabilize systems they did not create. But here we are, thousands of years later, pulling their names back out of the tangle, holding up each tangled name to the light and saying, you were not the problem. You were not the footnote. You were not just somebody's daughter, somebody's wife, somebody's fix, somebody's solution. You were women. And even if the story forgot how to hold you clearly, we will not. And that's today's Auntie Sermon.
Bravo. Another success.
The AI says, debating the story of the wives of Isaac. Oh, I didn't mean... Granny, you can come up, but I was trying to accept a guest and it disappeared and I hit
I
you,
got
but you
bars,
can come up if you want.
so I hope you can hear this. Woo!
Well, I'm almost done with Genesis. I think I have one more. I can't remember who it is, though, to be honest with you. And then we're out of Genesis and on to the women of Exodus. And I will finish the workbook before we'll start Exodus. So if people want to go back and listen to Genesis and do the color book workbook, you can. It'll be available soon. I'm almost done with it. It's really a pretty workbook too. I really like. I'm gonna buy one and I'm gonna listen to them. Robin, where'd you go? Hi,
Thank you,
Carhu. How are you?
Crystal. Hi. How are you? I'm fine, thank you.
Doing well.
Yeah, it's my first time in your panel. Yeah, I've been listening to your sermons for a while, and I mean, these sermons are like gold. Sorry, my
Aw,
English
thank
is not very
you.
good, but I enjoy them very much, very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And your
Yeah.
English is wonderful.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Yeah, I used to be a Christian. I was part of a Pentecostal church, and now I'm, still deconstructing after years and relearning and connecting different ways in different ways with different people. And I just love your content and these sermons. It's very healing to me. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. That means a lot to me. It really does. It has been very healing for me to write them too. And obviously very educational. I had no fucking idea what a doublet was or a documentary hypothesis or any of that was until I started doing the research for these. So I get to learn a lot and I love that actually. I love learning new things. But I also think it's really it's cool for me, but it's also sad to me that nobody's ever done this before. In, thousands of years, nobody thought to write something about the women, all of them, not
Yeah,
just
exactly.
Sarah and Ruth.
Yeah, at least I haven't heard anyone done this before. Like centering the women, it's so healing and amazing for all the women, I believe.
And
I
I like
cut
it that
out.
I've had it.
Oh, sorry, I cut out and I just wanted to do this because I disappeared. I wanted to go, woo! That's it. Auntie Sermon, I loved it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I know that one was not as storytelling as some of my other ones, but I thought it was important to understand that because it was so messy. Like I really didn't know what to do at first. I had already, done a sermon on on two of the wives, but then I got very confused on who all the rest of the wives were. And I was like, I don't even know what to do with all this. But then I was like, maybe it's time we start explaining why this happens. And so, what was the most interesting thing I learned from Justin? So you now understand that a doublet is when a story is told again, but it sounds different. And so we pretend like it's a different story, okay? Think of Jesus and the Canaanite woman and the Syrophoenician woman, right? Those are the same story, but that one thing changes. One time she's Canaanite and one time she's Syrophoenician, right? but we pretend that it's the same story. And sometimes people will say it's actually two different stories. He did it twice, but they really sound exactly alike, right? Well, there's another story that I never realized sounded similar, but was actually a doublet. And that is the story of Lot and the crowd at his door in Sodom and Gomorrah, and the guy and his concubine who has a crowd at his door. Do you guys know
Yeah.
that story?
Is it Levite? The
Oh.
Levite?
Yeah, the
Does it
Levite.
say the Levite?
Justin told me that's,
Yep.
yeah. Justin said that's a doublet.
That's
Yeah.
very interesting.
Yeah, basically the
I never
exact
made
same
that
story,
connection.
like Sodom and Gomorrah versus, the Levite and the concubine. I even, there's one you mentioned today, the two times that Abraham tells Sarah, or tells someone that Sarah is not his wife.
Yeah.
There's another one that also really, it's also so similar that I think it's Isaac. I think it's right after.
Yeah.
Abraham does it twice, and then I think Isaac does it once, maybe.
I think so
But
too.
it's almost exactly the same, and it's like, yeah, somebody probably had a tradition that Abraham did it to this person. Somebody had one that Abraham did it to this person, and someone was telling it about Isaac, and then they just all three get put in there. It's
Exactly. Exactly. Let me look, Karu. I think it might be in Judges 19. In what Bible verses can I find the story of the concubine and the Levite? Yeah, Judges 19, the main story begins. In Judges 20, the tribes of Israel respond and go to war. So yeah, it's Judges 19, I think 1 through 30.
I'm finding this really interesting. The idea of there being doublets and how that could be applied through so many different stories. Something that you mentioned, Crystal, is how, um, and I've also heard Rabbi Hana talk about this before. In this time period, they didn't, the Jewish people didn't have a word for history. These texts and oral traditions were how they, a lot of the time, uh, were able to maintain. Mythical genealogy a lot of the time, but preserve stories, treaties, information about their history through these stories. I think that it's really interesting, this doublet idea, because we can open Genesis and you can hear the accounts from the north and the south and how they differ in the creation story. There's you guys were mentioning Abraham. Abraham at various times picked out his wife Sarah, once to the Abimelech, once to Pharaoh. Maybe that was two different stories being conflated. It gives you a lot of thinking to do. And I noticed that a lot of Christians also have this dual fulfillment prophecy idea where if it happened one time in the Bible, then it can happen multiple times again. And that idea of repeating patterns that you've seen in the Old Testament recurring in the New
Yeah.
Testament, I find it all very interesting.
Me too. And I don't know, like the more I get into these sermons, just the more I learn. Like I said, it's pretty cool to and I got like a really cool compliment from Justin. And of course I'll probably clip it because like why not? He was like, yeah, you are noticing things in the scriptures that that a lot of people don't notice, and it's pretty cool. Hey, Joe, I see you in the chat. Why don't you come up? I'll be happy to talk to you about why I talk about the Bible and why I don't talk about the Quran. And it's not actually that I don't. If a Muslim person comes up, I definitely talk about it with them. I just don't know as much about the Quran because I grew up in the United States of America. And in these here United States, Jesus is the reason for the season. You know what I'm saying? Like, Jesus is what is taught, what we learn, what we're indoctrinated into. And so that's why I talk about it, because I live where it is prevalent, shall we say, prevalent. And I am trying to educate women on why they should probably dump the book, dump the religion, dump the God, and dump the men who worship the God.
It's always so odd to me when they're like, why don't you pick on other books? Probably because we're in a Christianized nation, not a Islamic
Right.
nation. Like, hello? Hello?
Yeah.
Would you
And,
go
you
to
know,
a
and the
vegan or a
funny thing
vegetarian?
is,
Sorry, I was going to use the analogy. Would you go to a vegan or a vegetarian restaurant and then bitch and moan that they don't have food there that has meat and animal byproducts? Because that's what you're doing. This is a Christian. That, I mean, you're welcome to come up, but I mean, the space largely deconstructs Christian ideology. It's not oriented towards Islam. So, I mean,
here's
just
the thing, your algorithm shows it to you probably because you're Christian. You know what I mean? Like, it's not showing you Muslims and Buddhists and Hindu content because that doesn't apply to you, pumpkin. You build your algorithm by what you're into. So if you're into Christianity, you're going to get topics about Christianity. That's how it works. Hey, Candace, good to see you.
And you know what?
Hey,
Christians,
real quick, Nick. I think Candace has a GoFundMe or a fundraiser or something in her bio for her little grandbaby. Now, her grandbaby has medical needs right now, and if you could go help her out and drop her a few bucks, I'd really appreciate it, because Candace is an amazing fucking person, and I love her. Hey, still that. Welcome in, my favorite Christian. Welcome in. I'm sorry, Nick. Go ahead. What were you saying?
good question. Shit.
I'm sorry. I totally made
No,
you.
I remember. No, you're fine. You're fine. My ADHD is my own issue, nobody else's. Christians pick on other religions enough that we don't have to really touch them. When you really think about it, that's all Christians do is bitch about the pagans or Islam or this or that. You know, you guys have been bullying other religions for the better part of 2,000 years. And I'm sorry that you don't like that, the tables have turned a bit and now people are starting to push back against the one religion that has oppressed so many through the last about 2,000 years. How do you feel? Like first time, yeah, it sucks to suck, but we hear enough of you guys picking apart other religions. It's your turn to have yours picked apart.
Rules for thee, not for me.
Right.
I would also say, like, I have a lot of like Islam lives show up in my feed, but like half the time they're in Arabic. So like if you are an English speaker, you are more likely to see the Christianity lives. You know, like if you speak
Yeah.
Arabic and you search for everything in Arabic, like you're going to be much more likely to see the ones regarding Islam. You know, it's just yeah.
I mean,
The
it really
algorithm
goes
knows you
without.
need us.
I was just gonna say, it really goes without saying. We are from an English-speaking country. English-speaking places, generally Christian. It's really that simple.
hmm I mean, I
We
get
have
math
3
is hard,
topics
but
today, but
holy.
you can only see 2 of them. But my topics today are: was the world perfect before the fall? What is your philosophy on God? And what does Christianity have to offer for women? What you got for me? If you're a Christian,
I love these
come on up.
topics.
Still that. Come up and and talk with me. Tell me your philosophy. Why do you always stay in my chat? Why don't you come up? Are you afraid I'll cuss you out? I won't cuss you out. I will be on the best behavior. I promise, as long as you don't say anything bigoted, racist, or homophobic. I can only make so many promises.
I love these topics, Crystal, although
So
I was just gonna say this first one though, it will be like, I imagine it will be like beating an unalived horse though, because I'm imagining that we're just gonna end up going circles. That's what I'm imagining.
What do you mean, was it
Yeah.
perfect before the fall? I mean,
I
because
did get that yesterday.
like, well, I was just gonna say, I mean, the world only existed for like less than a week before the fall, right? Like, it's like everything was made in 6 days, and then the fall happened right after, huh? So,
I was gonna take it a step further and say, but based off of their worldview, how their philosophy, their doctrine, only God is perfect. Therefore, the world could have never been perfect. Ooh,
Okay,
ooh.
so Aunt, welcome to the show. Can I get your age for TikTok purposes? And are you a Christian or a believer of the God of the Bible?
Yeah, I'm 19 and I'm Catholic.
Okay, so we have 3 topics. You get to pick one. Was the world perfect before the fall? 2, what is your philosophy on God? And 3, what does Christianity have to offer women? Which one would you like to talk about today?
The third one sounds interesting. I'll do the third one.
Okay, so what does Christianity have to offer women?
I mean, the biggest one I would say is like the most venerable and God's best creation is a woman. It's actually the mother of God, Mary. And he chose her to conceive God. So, I mean, when you talk about who puts women the highest and who treats women with the most respect, it's definitely Christianity by far.
No. Well, first of all, I don't think picking a young teenage girl who cannot even make a decision, whether she was teenage or not, you cannot take a human and impregnate her with the seed of a god and call it consent. So she never consented because the imbalance is
Wait,
crazy there. Humans cannot consent to what gods do to us. We can't. The power imbalance is too out of whack. Okay. But second of all, just because he did one thing that people think for some reason is loving for one woman in all of history, that doesn't mean that Christianity offers women anything. You still haven't told me what Christianity offers women. But if you're away from the app, I
God's
can't
plan.
hear you. I don't know if I
I'm
couldn't hear
sorry.
anything you said. That's okay.
In Luke 1 verse 38, Mary says, Mary's actually consenting to God's word. It says, "Let it be
She
done as your word."
can't.
What do you mean she can't? Well, of
She
course she
can't
can.
consent. No, she cannot. Okay, you cannot consent if somebody can literally disseminate you, wipe you off the planet. Because no matter what, planet, you can't. You cannot agree to something because no matter what, you know that that's a God and that they could do whatever they want to you. So you can't. Consent has to be at a level that is equal. I can't consent to somebody who has so much power over me. There's no way I will clearly consent to that. But second of all, she calls herself a slave. She tells you that she didn't feel free in that choice. She tells you immediately, I am your slave. That's not freedom. That's not a free choice. But lastly, I'm going to tell you again, you haven't told me what Christianity can do for women.
Well, I mean, are you asking for in like a general sense, like everyday life and stuff, or?
What does Christianity have to offer women?
I mean,
Sell
first
me
of
on it.
all,
Tell me, man.
Christianity
What's it got?
Christianity is the most beautiful for women because, like, just for my experience, like every time I go to church, all the women there are happily married. They have a bunch of kids. They have 5 kids. They
That's
all
not
live a
true.
happy life. It's true.
Wait a
Oh,
minute. That's not true. I was a
100% is
Christian
true.
for
100%.
No, it's not true. No, it's not
How are
true.
you gonna tell me it's not true?
Christians have the highest divorce rates. Okay, first of all, Christians have the highest divorce rates. Please do research for. Second of all, I was a Christian for over 50 years. I have met divorced, depressed Christians in my church. You've got to be kidding me. Also, I have found that Christians fake how they feel because they think if they say they're sad or depressed, that that's somehow a weakness in their relationship with God, so they'll lie about it a lot. Give me 1 second here. A couple of my panelists want to talk to you too. Nick, you first, and then Robin, you wanted to say something. Go ahead.
I was going to say something about God and Mary, but I'll keep it on track, on base, in the general. What does Christianity have to offer? Just for the sake of the live chat.
Wait.
Okay, Robin?
It's okay. I'll jump back in later.
Okay. Anyway,
So my response
also,
to what
as Asherah points out, being married mothers doesn't automatically mean that those women are happy, by the way.
Okay, so what I would say to what you said, I totally agree with what you're saying. And just because Christians do things in the name of God doesn't mean that God is telling them to do it, right? So people can misuse the Bible and use the Bible for all types of horrible things, but that doesn't mean they're using it to how God intended it. You know what I'm saying?
Actually, my dear, that's not true at all. The Bible talks
How is that
about
not
how
true?
the God, because the Bible talks about how the God will send lying spirits into the mouths of his own prophets to test his people, and that if that prophet is deceived, it is Yahweh himself who deceived that prophet.
Can you bring me the verse for that?
That's true.
What verse would that be in?
Crystal will
Hang on
provide
1
it in just
second.
a moment.
Can you give me the verse where God says that if a prophet lies, that he himself, God, has sent the lying spirit? Lying, like a liar.
I will give it to you on this, though. The God takes the credit for it, but he doesn't like to get his hands dirty. The God himself doesn't make the person lie, but he takes the credit for that person lying.
Well,
Ezekiel 14:9 says, if the prophet is deceived and speaks a word, I, the Lord, have deceived that prophet, and I will stretch out my hand against him and will destroy him from the midst. Oh, I'm sorry, I lost control for a minute. Of my people, Israel.
so God is basically saying if the prophet lies, he's gonna punish him, or like, what's your point?
No, my
He
dear, that's
says,
not.
He,
But I'm confused. What's your point? What are you getting at?
that you said that people can twist and lie or whatever, and Robin was pointing out that it's actually God who causes them to do so if they lie about prophecy.
So you
The
think
Bible
God
also
makes?
said, one moment, dear. The Bible also says that if you commit sins, then you don't have the Holy Spirit inside of you and that you're a child of the devil. You should
Yeah.
not be able
That's true
to
too.
commit sin. You should not be able to commit sins
That's
if you
true
have
too.
Jesus and the Holy Spirit inside of you.
If you're
But
not able to
again,
commit sin,
what I'm still not hearing though is what does Christianity have to offer women? I still haven't heard anything that goes,
okay. Well,
you know
let me ask you.
what?
What do you
That is
want?
really good.
What do you? Well, but like, what do you want out of life? So let me ask you that, because you want Christianity to give you something, but what do you want?
Oh no, I don't. It's just that people keep telling me that I should repent and just have faith and be a Christian. And so far, all I've seen that Christianity is offers men a lot of shit. Men power, men body autonomy, men whatever the fuck they want. They could just say God wants me to have this, and so I get to have it. Eminent domain and shit, you know. But when it comes to a woman, shut up, be submissive. Who the fuck do you think you are? You're a woman. Know your place. Get pregnant, have some babies, and shut the fuck up. That's what I see that the Bible offers women. And I don't know. I just don't like it. Feels icky.
See, that's where I would have to disagree, because like I already told you, it's not like we just throw women to the side and don't, like, I already told you the most highly of God's creation is a woman. So how could you say that
Really?
Christianity
What were
doesn't?
the names of all the women who gave birth to all of humanity after the flood? What were their names?
What does that matter? I'm confused. That
What
doesn't
do
change
you
the
fucking
fact.
mean? What does it
That
matter? What do
doesn't
you
change the
fucking
fact.
mean? What does it
Why are you
matter? What
swearing?
do fucking
Oh,
mean? What does it
oh,
matter?
Shem, Ham, and Japheth, right? Is
Manny, Mo, and Jack. What do you mean? What does it matter? If God actually valued women, we would know the mothers' names of civilization. We would know their names because we sure the fuck know the fathers' names.
But so you basically want, but like women are already glorified in the Bible. So what,
No,
what are you
they're
missing?
not. Women are treated like shit from page 1 to the very last page. Women are used as sexual slaves. Women are used as incubators so that men can continue their lineage. Women are used as concubines to be cut up, their bodies cut up into 12 pieces and sent out to the tribes of Israel as a battle cry. Women are used
Can I
and
respond?
disposed of, told to be called dogs. Women are treated
Oh my
as
God.
property. Women are listed as property in the 10 Commandments.
So are you gonna let me respond? So
When I'm finished,
when God
do
sends
you know
an
how
angel,
conversations work?
but you're just making the same point with different like you need to
No,
let
I
someone
wasn't. I was telling you many, many, many points because you made a bold-faced claim that was not true.
So when
So now
God
go
sends
ahead.
an angel to a woman and says, "Hail Mary, full of grace," he's
You
using her
you need
and
to
he's
get off
looking
of
down on her.
You
Mary.
got one woman, right? You got one woman, and you
But
think
why are you running
all
away?
of women
But
for
you're running
all
away
of
from the fact.
humanity.
Okay, you
She
haven't let me
was a
talk at all. You haven't
child.
let me
He
talk at all.
raped her. He raped her. She was a child. He raped her. Get off of her. It doesn't look good for you. You're not winning. You're getting
Of
nothing with
course I am.
Mary.
You're not even letting
Mary
me talk.
does
You're just
nothing.
speaking. You haven't let me
Jesus
speak this whole
talked to her
time.
like shit. I did. Just like you went right back to Mary
You
because
let me
you got
talk.
nothing
You let
else.
me say 5
Please
words.
address anything I said. Address anything I said because I didn't say shit about Mary.
Okay, let's go to the
Address
10
something I
Commandments. What were you
said.
saying? What were you saying about the 10 Commandments?
We are listed as property.
So, okay, what commandment is that?
First of all, who are the 10 Commandments written to?
God's
Because
people.
it's not to
Everyone.
women. No, it's not to. It's to men.
It's for
The
everyone.
entire thing is written to men. No, it's not. It's to men. The whole thing is addressed to men.
No, you're
That's
under the
why
commandments
women
too.
are. No,
Women
it's
have to
addressed
follow
to
the
men. We weren't
commandments
even.
too.
No, we don't. We weren't even
You
invited to
do.
Mount Sinai. I don't have to fucking do anything that your Bible says. You guys didn't even let us go to Mount Sinai where the covenant was established.
So you want women to
If
take
I
the role of
didn't
a
sign
man?
the contract,
You haven't even let me
am
talk this
not a
whole
part
time. Do
of
you just
it.
want to yell at me, or do you want to actually have a conversation? Like, I'm confused. So you.
If I didn't let you talk, how do I know that you're talking about Mount Sinai right now?
So because you let me say 2 words and then you just start yelling for like 30 seconds. So as I was
Okay, go
saying,
ahead.
just because God does not reveal it to a woman doesn't mean he doesn't care about women. How does that make any sense?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. If my father goes and tells my brother everything that he wants him to know about our estate, about everything, and he tells me nothing, my father does not respect me, care about me, nor love me. If you think that anybody who treats you like that loves you, then you are probably an abused person.
Again,
and I'm
so
sorry you're
it's
abused.
there's
Just because
all right,
I
you're
don't
not even gonna let me
tolerate
talk
abuse
again.
from
Oh my
your...
God.
I wasn't done talking, piece of shit. I was
You're
still talking.
you're ranting for 2 minutes and I'm saying like 5 words. How is this a conversation? You're just yelling at me. It's not a conversation. So again, if we could have a conversation, I could respond after you say something. So just men and women are different. Would you agree? Like, is there any differences between men and women, or do you think we're just all the same, just different genitalia and stuff?
Just because people are different doesn't mean they can't be equal.
But would you
Actually,
agree? I have a
People can
question.
be
can I
different
answer
and still
that?
be treated equally.
Okay, I agree. So I have a
Can I
question.
answer that?
Okay.
According to actual studies, women beat out men in everything except for shit. Do you remember what that one category was, Crystal?
No.
We were the highest in pain management, intelligence, being able to run a business. Like women scored higher in everything, I think, except for one thing. And so you're right. We're not anger. You're right. We're not equal. Women are better, bigger, faster, stronger than men. But somehow women are told, regardless that they continuously beat out men in every single category, that women are under men, lesser than men. Women are not permitted to teach.
Wait, did I
Women
think I
are to,
misheard something. Could I just clarify? Did you
yeah, go
say
ahead.
like did you say men and did you say women are bigger and stronger than men?
Yeah, yeah.
Can
Normally we are
anyone
bigger in the
wait, can
category
anyone on the
of,
panel just like come on, like let's have some reason here. Can we just clarify that? Anybody?
okay, do you know why I
We're
say
not
I don't.
bigger?
necessarily
I'm not.
we're not necessarily talking about physicality.
Okay, well that's what she's made it sound like. What else would faster be
He.
then?
Yeah, I'm a
It's a
dude, bro.
he. That's a he. That's a he. Hey, listen. For instance, recently Rachel Entrikin became the first woman ever to win the Cocodona 250. That's a race that's over 250 miles long. Not only did she beat and woman, I don't know why I'm lagging, every man and woman, but she had a score or like a time that was 2 hours faster than the man who had the fastest time before her. So go on, tell me how being
So you're
different
saying
means
that
that we shouldn't
women
be
are
equal.
you're basically saying that women are like physically stronger and faster than men. Is what
Yeah,
you're trying to say.
because, let me tell you why.
I'm not.
A woman goes
Nick
in.
said that. Wait, Nicholas. Wait, what? Wait, Nicholas, wait. Nicholas made those comments, okay? Nicholas made those comments, and I keep saying the same fucking thing, and you keep ignoring me. Being
Hold on.
different does not mean you should not be equal. Please address that fucking sentence.
Is Crystal lagged out for anyone else or just me?
Why do you keep ignoring that sentence?
Okay, like first of all, there's no reason to be yelling. I'm not yelling. No one's yelling. I don't know.
Hey OTT,
Then
I
just address
apologize. I
that
did mute
sentence,
you.
please. I keep saying it.
Thank
OTT,
you.
I
I could
apologize. I did.
say that
I
again,
just I
sorry.
wanted to acknowledge OTT. I'm sorry. I just wanted to acknowledge that there is a little bit of a delay. So if we could please have a grace period of a second or two after everybody's done speaking, so that we have an opportunity, that would be fabulous. Thank you.
Okay, so to address what the host
Nick
said,
says that
all I
I
would
am
say.
lagging.
So okay.
Freezing hardcore on my screen, and I'm wondering if anybody else sees that or if that's my internet. Oh no, Goose says
It's
you're
not just
lagged.
me. Yeah, it's not just
Yeah.
Nick. It's also me.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I was just making sure it wasn't my
Okay,
internet,
all
so
right, go
I wasn't
ahead.
talking over everybody.
So
I
can I
I'd like
want
an
respond now?
OTT to
opportunity
talk.
though.
Go ahead, OTT.
So what I
Okay.
would respond to is that we agree. Of course, I'm happy that we agree that there's many differences between men and women. So when God chooses certain men to do stuff and women to do stuff, that doesn't mean that one is better than the other. It just means that He created us for different things, for different purposes. That doesn't mean that men are better or women are better. It just means that we have different roles and God uses us for those roles. That's all I would say.
Don't you think it's weird that
Okay.
women's roles just happen to be underneath men all the time?
It's not. You guys don't want to talk about
Do
Mary,
you
but
permit, hold on, do you permit a woman to teach? Because the Bible doesn't.
Fucking Mary.
Do you have
I
to
got
cover
one
your
woman.
head when you go pray in church? Because a woman does.
yeah, I already said
Are
men
you
and women are
allowed to
different.
speak? Are you allowed to speak in church? Because she's not.
Again,
She
men
Can
says
and
I
women are
talk?
she's
different.
silent.
I want to talk. I want to talk, okay? OTT, when the God who is supposed to be all loving, all knowing, according to you, not only chooses men to be above women as my curse, Okay, he's already he from page 1 he said, I don't fucking like women and I'm going to show you how much I don't like them. I'm going to create evil and I'm going to blame it on women. Even though both of them eat, even though both of them are there, even though both of them get deceived, we're going to say only the woman got deceived. There's no way else you can look at that story other than they were both deceived because they both fucking eat and they're both standing there when the serpent does it. Okay? But they're going to blame it only on the woman. When a God of the universe says women are worth, valued, actually monetarily less than men, when a God of the universe says, fathers, you can sell your daughters into smeck slavery, but never says that about the sons. When a God of the universe has 60 of the prophets in the Old Testament are men, but only 5 are women, he is telling me where I stand in his eyes. I am telling you, this God is into men. He does not love women. Now, maybe you're okay with that kind of neglect,
Can I
with that
respond?
kind of, but I'm not done talking, you fucking idiot. This is why people yell at you. Maybe you're okay with having somebody treat you that way, with that kind of a neglect and abuse and violence, but I am not okay with that. And any God who looks at me like that is not a God I see worthy of my worship. Now you may
Okay.
respond.
So you used to be a Christian, correct?
Yes, for over
Okay.
50 years.
So who is the most important, else obviously outside of Jesus, who is the most important like human in the Bible? Who is it?
It's to Protestants, it's not Mary. We do not venerate Mary like you do. We actually think that you guys are evil for doing that. That to us, you guys are like actually
Hey, that's
worshiping another
anti-feminism.
God,
Why
and we find you evil.
why are you trying to take away from
I'm
women?
telling you what Protestants
You're taking
believe.
away from women.
No, it's not.
Yes?
Do you want to hear why we think that?
No,
Okay, so
because you
stop
guys are
doing
trying to
that.
take away from women.
Don't project. Do not project shit on me, okay? I'm not the one who came up with the Protestant way of thinking, okay?
Well, they're wrong. They're wrong.
I
in
was
what they think.
indoctrinated into.
Well, I'm sorry that
You're
I'm sorry that
wrong
you
for
went
what
like
you
that.
think. You get mad that I don't let you finish, and you haven't let me finish at all. And then you get mad that I am interrupting you and yelling at you. What are you talking about, dude? You've got to be kidding me right now.
Okay, can anyone else on the panel
Do
just
I need a
agree?
restart? Hang on 1 second. I need a 1 in chat if I need a restart, because I seem to be able to have a conversation with but Nicholas is saying that I'm so bad that it's too hard for you guys to watch me right now. So I need to know, is it so bad that I need a restart, or Nicholas, not you. I don't want you to answer. You're the only one telling me this. I want everybody else to tell me.
Like
I
delay
don't need
and
a
lag
restart.
on my end as well.
So from my perception, how I've seen things,
Okay, I'm going to
Crystal,
go ahead and
it
restart.
seems like, okay, there's definitely a delay.
Oh,
Yeah,
the
I was going to
chat is saying
suggest a
no.
restart.
Just turn off your Wi-Fi and turn it back on again.
Okay, I'm going to
Sometimes
restart.
that
I'm just going to
fixes it for
restart.
me.
I'm just going to restart.
QTT, you're welcome to
Okay,
come
I'll do
back.
that. I'll do that.
And we can resume if you come back.
Okay, wait. I reset my Wi-Fi. Tell me if this is better.
Oh, yes.
And
Does
can
seem
anybody,
better.
can you put it in the chat?
Immediately.
Okay. Okay. All
Putting
right.
an 11.
Now can we get back to the conversation? Now I want to get back to the conversation. Okay? OTT, listen to me. It is not because she is a woman that we didn't venerate her. That would be misogynistic. It was because we were told, thou shalt have no other gods before me. We were told, do not have idols. And to us, Mary was idolizing a human being instead of the God. Nowhere in that Bible does the Bible tell you Mary is holy. Nowhere in that Bible does it tell you to worship her or pray to her. Nowhere in that Bible does it venerate her. That is something that the Catholic Church did after. So whether you venerate her or you don't has nothing to do with misogyny. It has to do with where you stand on monotheism.
You're saying that nobody venerated her in the Bible, but when the angel came to Mary, he said, "Hail Mary, full of grace." That's veneration. Hailing something is venerating it.
Does he say, for now on, everybody else venerate Mary too? No, he doesn't. And Hail Mary, full of grace, doesn't venerate her at all. It doesn't make her holy. It doesn't make her godlike. Oh, that was a good
So
one.
saying someone is
That was
full of
really
grace
funny.
means they're not holy?
No, it doesn't. I could be full of grace and be a ballerina. What the fuck are you talking about? What are you talking about? Go ahead, Nick.
Can I talk to someone else on the panel? Because you're not understanding. Like, at all. I don't know
No,
why
I
you're
do
laughing.
understand. I don't know why you think I don't understand. I absolutely
I
know
think someone
what
needs to
grace
join
means.
in to, like, give some reason to, like, wait, because you're just laughing at it.
They'll never join in when you do that. They'll never join in when you do that. How dare
So no one
you
else is
think that
joining
they
in the
would take over
conversation?
my show? They would if I ask them to, but they're not going to do it when you try to tell them to do it to talk over me. You've got to be kidding me. This is my show and these are my friends, Pumpkin. Now I'm going to let Nick talk, but not because you told me to shut up, but because Nick raised his hand like a gentleman. Go ahead, Nick.
Well, I don't know, Crystal, because if he can't understand you, he's not going to understand my biblical scholar ass, who could school him on the Bible any day of the week. But I would like you to imagine, if you will, so in the New Testament, Jesus is capable of calling his Father the Father. You know, when he refers to him, he goes, the Father. But when it comes to his mother, he just calls her woman. So please, woman, get the wine. And when a woman said, blessed is the mother who bore you, he goes, nah, blessed is those who inherit the kingdom, blah, blah, blah. So tell me how Jesus himself was venerating his own mother, because he wasn't.
Well,
Even when she came to visit him with his family, he's like, nah, the real family isn't here. Like
Are
he
you familiar?
snuffed her 3 times.
Are you familiar with Genesis 3:15?
What does that have to do
Genesis
with
3:15
anything?
has nothing to do with Jesus
Yes,
or
it does.
Mary.
It ties in. Let me explain
God
it.
damn.
Yes, it does. Let me explain
No,
it.
it really doesn't. Let me tell you
No,
why.
let him tie it in.
Let-
Hey, let him do it. Let him do it.
The reason why
Go
Jesus
ahead.
is calling Mary woman is because in Genesis 3:15, God prophesizes, "I will put enmity between you and the woman." He's
Oh, that's a
prophesizing about
stretch.
Mary. He's prophesizing
That's a
about Mary.
stretch. That is such a stretch. How much mental gymnastics did you have to do to come up with that
Oh
one?
my! You guys don't like. Do you guys not want to like?
That's so funny. Genesis is not prophecy, Pumpkin. Good try, though.
Bro, I attended
not
Catholic
prophecy.
seminary. I learned underneath 2 archbishops, and they would laugh you out of this chat right now.
That's official
Like
Catholic doctrine, by the way.
do you
That's
know
official
what?
Catholic doctrine.
No. Do you know what they would call you? They would call you a 3rd grade theologian. Even my archbishops know that's not a prophecy about Mary.
That's official
Do
Catholic
you know?
doctrine.
No, that
Official
isn't
Catholic
Catholic
doctrine.
doctrine. Do you know where that
Search it
comes
up.
from? The Protestants. The
Search it up.
Protestants are the ones who came up with the fact that that was a prophecy.
What?
Stop.
Search it up. It's official Catholic doctrine. I can promise you it is.
It's official Catholic doctrine that was a prophecy about Mary.
Yes, that's how the Catholics interpret it. Yes, exactly.
Actually, so maybe this is a little bit of an in-between, but I actually see this as like just an illusion John is making. I do think that it's intentional that, but this isn't the case in Mark, Matthew, or Luke. In none of those does he call Mary any of those, like just woman. It seems to me like the Gospel of John sees that and it's not the case in the Hebrew, but in the Septuagint, it's, a similar word that just means woman. And I think that it's kind of John using the same word to, like, and applying it to Mary. I don't really think it's, John seems to be elevating Mary more than the other gospels are, but that
Mhm.
doesn't make any of this a, like, prophecy or anything like that.
Well, John was also based off the fact that they were battling off like the Marcionites and the Gnostics. Like John is a standalone gospel. It shouldn't even be called a gospel, in my opinion, but that's
What?
neither here nor there.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm confused how this refutes my point, but
Do you
anyways.
know anything about Johannine literature?
Listen, just for a second. When somebody has a side like conversation, that's okay. It doesn't have to be about me or you, right? Like they were just having a side conversation, and you don't have to go like, "What does that have to do about me?" Okay, you can let them have a side conversation. Okay.
Okay, and so what I would like to ask you guys is, you guys say Genesis 3:15 is not about Mary and it's mental gymnastics. Then who is the
Is
woman? Who is the
Mm-hmm.
woman that God is talking about in Genesis 3:15 when he says, "I will
all
Eve.
put enmity
women.
between you and the
Eve.
serpent"? Oh my
The fuck are you
gosh!
talking about?
Oh my gosh!
Okay,
This
What
is.
the
it's
fuck
all
are you talking
women.
Are you
about?
serious? You think it's Eve?
Do you
Have you
do you
read
know
the
Yeah,
Oh
he's.
my
chapter?
Can
gosh!
It
can
Oh my
directly
gosh!
addresses
can
Eve.
I talk?
Yeah, sorry.
He's
uh
talking to Eve, and excuse me. What does Eve's name mean? On
Eve is like the mother of life or something.
right, the
or
mother
something.
of life. Yeah, right. So he's talking to Eve. You being the mother of life, meaning all of all of life. There will be enmity between the snake and humans. And there is. Isn't that weird? If we step on a snake, it will bite us. And it was just a way for this ancient tribe to talk about how things happened. And this is their explanation. But nowhere in this does it mention Eve. Nowhere is Jesus mentioned. Nowhere in this story is this a prophecy. And by the way, it wasn't until much later that this was ever considered to be about Jesus. That was a much later teaching.
It's
But
not
you
about
haven't done
Jesus.
your history lessons. When you said that it was about Mary is the woman, the offspring is Jesus, the serpent is the Satan, and the crushing the head is Christ defeating Satan. Right? I
No,
mean,
the
you didn't say
crushing
all
of the
that, but that's
head,
what you're
the
talking about,
crushing of
right?
the head is not Jesus, it's Mary.
The
Mary didn't
crushing
crush
of the
any
head is
snakes.
Christ defeating Satan.
Okay, so you're saying that God put enmity between Eve and the devil, but Eve literally fell into the devil's temptation. So how is there enmity between them? She's the one that brought sin into the world. Where's the
From
enmity?
now on, it's from the moment of the curse on. It is her offspring, her as in humanity. All of humanity will have problems with snakes.
There is
It's
no.
not a fucking prophecy for Jesus, pumpkin. It's like you're literally going to step on snakes and they're going to bite you. And from now on, you two aren't going to like each other because humans don't like snakes and snakes don't like humans.
Do you even know what enmity means? That's not what enmity means.
Oh
It's
my
Jewish
God.
folklore.
What does enmity mean?
Enmity means
What does enmity
opposition.
mean?
How is Eve in
That's what I
opposition to
just
the
said.
snake?
Snakes don't like
So then how is
women,
Eve in
don't like
opposition to the
snakes,
snake?
and snakes. I just fucking told you like 12 times. Humans,
Oh
she
my God.
represents humanity. She is the mother of life. Humans don't like snakes and snakes don't like humans. That's the enmity. There was no
snake,
Jesus there.
you realize
There's
that the
no
snake
Mary
represents
there.
the devil, right? You know that
No,
the
it
snake represents the
doesn't.
devil.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Because he says in the curse, you will crawl on your belly and eat the dirt. But later, we see Satan and he is walking around. He says, I was just walking around to and fro. He's not on his belly.
So then who is the snake in the garden? Who's the snake represent in the garden?
It's a fucking snake.
It represents Satan. Oh my gosh, you don't understand the book at
No,
all.
it
It actually
doesn't.
says.
Yes, I
It actually
do.
says he's
I just don't believe your stupid apologetics. I'm sorry,
So
you
you
go ahead,
think-
Ike.
Go ahead.
All I was saying is that Genesis starts off, like, when it introduces the character, it says he's a beast of the field. Like, it never says anything about Satan. It specifically says the serpent is a beast of the field.
So when the
Like
snake is
all the
talking,
other
you think it's a
animals.
literal snake? You think it's a literal snake and not
It
Satan?
says that he is the craftiest creature that God ever created. It is an animal. It tells you in the Bible that it's an animal. You all changed it later, and then you fell for the bullshit apologetics that
Holy
somebody
crap.
fed you on the pulpit. Instead of actually learning about the tribe and the historicity and the actual Hebrew definitions for words, you went, okay, Pastor Joe, whatever you say, partner. And you fell for it.
Saying Pastor Joe and I'm literally a Catholic. Okay, nice job.
OTT.
Anyways,
Whatever. They're all the same to me.
I'm going to work. I'm employed.
OTT.
Submit to the Holy Catholic
OTT.
Church. Follow Jesus. God bless you all. Amen.
Oh,
I will think for you while you
so
pray for
gross.
me, okay?
I'll pray to Asmodeus for you on your wedding night. That's okay.
We have
I do-
somebody loading up. Let's give him a second. Go ahead, Ike. What were you saying?
Sorry. I do think it's interesting that he recognized that one of the reasons he thought it was Satan is because the snake can talk, and he realizes talking animals is ridiculous. But, like, that's not the only animal that talks in the Bible, and, does he think anytime an animal talks that animal is Satan now?
Oh, maybe he does. Hey, Beyond, how are you today? Can I get your age? And are you a Christian?
How's it, everyone? Yes, I'm 38 and I'm a Christian, and I'm not really interested in Adam and Eve and snakes and stuff. Look,
Okay. We have three topics. We could talk about what
I
was the
like
world
the last
perfect
one.
before the fall. Okay, what does Christianity have to offer women?
Yes, that's the one. So, as a man, as a human, I reason based in examples. So my reasoning is grounded always in example. Actions speak louder than words. I trust when actions align with words. So if your actions are aligning with your words, I'm trusting you. So then I say, okay, well, I'm white, male, and I live in South Africa. We've got apartheid history, racism, all of that kind of stuff. So then I say, okay, if I'm going to go to the Bible, if I look at Jesus engaging with the Samaritan woman, a 5 times divorced, marginalized woman of a marginalized and hated community, which Jesus is not part of. But how does he engage with that woman? From that entire story, I promise you, if every Afrikaner in South Africa treated the black woman like that, we wouldn't have had apartheid. So I reason from his lived life examples of how he treated children, how he treated the woman, how he treated the marginalized. So that's where I get it from. But ultimately, I can't find it before Jesus. Like, look at children. There's
Really?
4 principles. Like, yeah, well, look at a woman. Look at female education. Like, you guys would all agree on the 4 principles.
Sorry, that's so funny to think that there were no cultures that respected women better than that. First, wait, you don't get to raise your hand yet, panel. Calm down. I know you're chomping at the bit. Just calm down, okay? First of all, let's talk about a lot of things you said, okay? I'm trying to pull up the Samaritan woman story. Hang on one second.
Perfect.
Just to clarify, you're South African?
Okay, it's in John 4.
Yes, correct.
Yes.
Sorry,
He's a
just to
white
clarify,
South
you're...
African.
Okay, I can't wait till my hand gets cold. I can't wait. I can't wait.
Okay, let's read the story, shall we? And then I will let you all talk. But let me read the story first because I think it's really important that the chat know exactly which story we're talking about. We're going to find this story in John chapter 4. Now, when Jesus learned that the Pharisees had heard Jesus is making and baptizing more disciples than John, although it was not Jesus himself but his disciples who baptized, he left Judea and started back to Galilee. But he had to go through Samaria. So he came to a Samaritan city called Sychar, near the plot of ground that Jacob had given to his son Joseph. Jacob's well was there, and Jesus, tired out of his journey, was sitting by the well. It was about noon. A Samaritan woman came to draw water, and Jesus said to her, "Give me a drink." His disciples had gone to the city to buy food. The Samaritan woman said to him, "How is it that you, a Jew, ask a drink of me, a woman, a Samaritan? Of Samaria. Jews do not share things in common with Samaritans." Jesus answered her, "If you knew the gift of God and who it is that is saying to you, 'Give me a drink,' you would have asked him, and he would have given you living water." The woman said to him, "Sir, you have no bucket and the well is deep. Where do you get that living water? Are you greater than our ancestor Jacob, who gave us the well and with his sons and his flocks drank from it?" So who is Jacob again? Let's remember this, okay? Jesus said to her, "Everyone who drinks of this water will be thirsty again, but those who drink of the water that I will give them will never be thirsty. The water that I will give will become in them a spring of water gushing up to eternal life." The woman said to him, "Sir, give me this water so that I may never be thirsty or have to keep coming here to draw water." Jesus said to her, "Go, call your husband and come back." The woman answered him, "I have no husband." Jesus said to her, "You are right in saying, 'I have no husband,' for you have had 5 husbands, and the one you have now is not your husband. What you have said is true." The woman said to him, "Sir, I see that you are a prophet. Our ancestors worshipped on this mountain, but you say that the place where people must worship is in Jerusalem." Jesus said to her, "Woman, believe me, the hour is coming when you will worship this Father neither on this mountain nor in Jerusalem. You will worship what you do not know. We worship what we know, for salvation is from the Jews. But the hour is coming and is now here when the true worshipers will worship the Father in spirit and truth, for the Father seeks such as these to worship him. God is spirit, and those who worship him must worship in spirit and trust." The woman said to him, "I know that Messiah is coming, who is called Christ. When he comes, he will proclaim all things to us." Jesus said to her, "I am he, the one who is speaking to you." Just then his disciples came. They were astonished that he was speaking with a woman, but no one said, "What do you want?" or "Why are you speaking with her?" Then the woman left her water jar and went back to the city. She said to the people, "Come and see, a man told me everything I have ever done. He cannot be the Messiah, can he?" They left the city and were on their way to him. Meanwhile, the disciples were urging him, "Rabbi, eat something," and it goes on. But that is the beautiful story of how he was so nice to somebody who was different than him, like a black person, like you put it. I find that very racist, but
Yeah.
that's just me. Go ahead, Nick. What did you want to say?
Oh boy. So I really, really loved my high school.
I'm going to turn around for a second, but I'm listening.
High school social studies teacher. I didn't like her as a person, but as a teacher, she was remarkable. And we were talking about World War II concentration camps. And she asked us a very curious question. She said, do you guys hate Europe, Britain, the same way that you hate Schmittler? We're like, no, why would we? And she told us some amazing details of what happened in Africa, including South Africa. by Christians. And this does revolve around back to the point. The treatment of women by the Christians, did you know that they were sending groups of men into South Africa to quote TikTok? This is for educational purposes only. This is historical. But did you know that they were sending groups of Christian men in there to quote breed the black out of the women because it wasn't their fault that they were born lesser? Do you know the dark history of the occupation of Africa by your ancestors in the name of Christ? Oh, I remember she gave us a letter from a nurse who was working there at the time. And there was this little girl, black girl, and she was unaliving slowly, very sick in the hospital. And she was like, I didn't know what to do for her. And the other nurse that was there was like, why would you want to do anything? She's African. Like, do you know the dark history of Christianity and the treatment of women, especially women from other countries that you guys inhabited, conquered, colonized?
Can I answer?
I do before we continue down this road. I thought you were going to talk about the verses, Nick. I'm sorry. I want to talk about the verses he brought up, though. I want to talk about how the fact that Samaritans are Israelites. This is somebody in his own family. I don't know why you people don't know that. I don't know why you don't ever study the history of it. She tells you, Jacob, she tells you we're related. So the fact that these are people he was related to and he still didn't like them tells you he was an elitist.
So,
he considers
sorry,
them lesser Israelites.
How his actions are, he's engaging with her. I mean, look at what.
And he
the
should
biggest
be.
thing what we,
why
we,
is it? Why shouldn't he be? She's an Israelite.
No, she's a Samaritan.
You guys act like she's not.
But
a Samaritan is an Israelite, pumpkin. You guys don't know your fucking history. Samaritans and Jews were both connected to ancient Israel, which is part of what makes this story so weird, okay? They were Israelites. She is a descendant of Jacob. She fucking tells you in the story.
yeah, no, I agree. But so you're saying, just so I want to understand you, you're saying Samaritans and Jews were singing Kumbaya together. There was.
No, I'm saying they should have been. I don't know who muted him, but please don't mute him, especially when he's in the middle of talking, unless he did it himself. I don't know.
I don't know. It could have been a mistake. Yeah, sorry. What I was
Samaritans
saying is,
and Jews should have been. You're acting like that Samaritans are outsiders, like they are Canaanites or Amalekites. They're not. They are part of the same tribe. And he was still an elitist,
so you're saying,
because he's still acting like it's so remarkable that I would talk to a Samaritan woman, even though she's from his tribe. He actually thought there were people in his own tribe that were lesser than him.
So just so I understand what you're saying is Jesus' actions is what every Jew should have done.
No, I'm saying that there should have never been a separation of Samaritans in the first place. The fact that the Israelites treated the Samaritans like they weren't even a part of their tribe shows you that they were elitist, that Jewish people were elitist. It is a supremacy culture, and Jesus was a supremacy leader. He was a cult leader who believed in supremacy.
I hear what you're saying.
And the story you brought up wasn't a beautiful story that makes a woman go, oh my God. Then on top of it,
so
he fucking shames her. And then on top of it, he shames her. He does a body count on her in front of everybody while they're at the well. He sits there and goes, yeah, you're right. Not only are you not married, you've been with 5 man. And he lets everybody know
And
her
does he?
private things.
Okay, first of all, it's only him and her, so it's a private encounter. Second of all,
That a
what
well,
he does
we don't
is
know that it's
truth
private.
without
They were very
condemnation.
busy.
He doesn't
Most of the
condemn
time,
her.
wells were
Okay,
very
does he
busy. They were like
condemn
a
her?
water cooler.
Does he
I think that
condemn
was
her? Does he speak to the
condemnation.
truth
I
of the
believe that is
situation?
condemnation. I believe that is condemnation when you point it
Okay.
out. I believe it absolutely is condemnation when you point out anybody's body count. People don't do that if they're not condemning somebody.
Okay. Well, look, if you feel that that's not a story, I mean, for me, I can see
That's
a
not
woman
a
running
story.
away, happy,
Nothing
telling
about that
everyone.
makes me go,
Okay, well,
hey, I want Christianity, where men think women are below them, where men hold all the power, where
I
men treat
don't,
women
I
like
don't
shit.
see how Jesus.
I don't want a
Okay,
God
so
that calls women dogs. I don't want a God who, when a woman has a bottle of perfume that could feed so many homeless people, he says, hey, don't do that. Let this woman pour the perfume all over me, because there's always going to be poor people. I'm never going to solve the hunger problem, but I'm not going to be on the earth forever, so I'll take the perfume instead. I don't want a God that is a narcissist. I don't want a God that thinks that women are disposable. I don't want a God that doesn't see me to be equal to men. I don't want that God. I don't see
do you want?
anything
Do
that
you want to?
Christianity offers women.
Okay. So, do you want a God that would educate women? Do you think female education is good?
Oh, yeah, but this God can't do, because he thinks that all women bleed on their wedding night. So he's not going to teach me anything. He's a fucking
Yeah,
moron.
that's
He doesn't
weird.
even know
But
women's
yeah, that's
body
I'm not.
anatomy.
Okay. What I'm interested in is specifically female education, because I personally believe that it
That
should be
is
for
female
common, general.
education.
Well, I'm explaining to you. So a woman doesn't matter. It's common, general. It's access for everyone. Even the diseased prostitute woman, she must still get educated. It's not only for elites. And the woman
Your
must be
Bible
known by
doesn't
name,
teach
not
that.
leader. Hold on.
Your
She
Bible
must be
doesn't
known
teach
by
that.
name.
No.
She must
What
be
are you
known by
talking about? The
name.
Bible, of
Yes.
all the names
I'm
in the
talking about.
Bible, 95% are men. Less than 5%
I'm
are
talking
women.
about how
Obviously, your God
Jesus
does not
educates
think that
Mary.
women need to be named. What are you
Okay, so when
talking about?
Jesus educates Mary, a common, general, normal woman, he addresses her by name. In status, she is equal in every status to a man.
She
And
was a
then he
really
defends her
rich
choice to
she
choose
was a really
education.
rich woman
She's
who
not
paid
rich.
for his
Mary's
life.
not rich.
Mary Magdalene
Mary's
was
not
rich as
rich.
fuck, and she paid for his life. You
It's
don't know
wrong
anything
woman,
about
my
her,
dear.
do you?
Wrong woman. Wrong
Which Mary?
Mary.
Oh,
Wrong
I'm sorry. You're right.
Mary.
You're right. The authors couldn't think to come up with different names for women because they were so fucking misogynistic.
No,
They
it
named
was a
every
common
woman
name
Mary.
during the time. I'm
Which
so
Mary?
sorry. History has a
Which
common
Mary?
name
Not
during the
not
time.
that common. Not that common.
Martha's
But go ahead.
sister.
What? Which Mary? Martha's sister.
Mary, Martha's sister. The same Mary that Martha was complaining because she's not doing her household servitude as women were expected to do as their nature during the time. And Jesus saying it will not be taken away from her. She has chosen the better things. Her as well is in action, sitting next to the men. In action is equal in status. So I know
Oh my
how to
God, you're right.
educate
That
you.
changes
I know that
everything.
you must be a common general woman. I know that I must address you by name and not number. I know that you are equal in status to me, and I know I should defend your choice to that education. Thank you for Jesus for showing me how to educate women. Because guess what? It doesn't exist before
Hey,
Jesus.
Crystal.
Those
What
four
the
principles. Okay, fine. Which do you advocate to remove? Which out of those
Go
four
ahead,
do you
Nick.
advocate to remove?
Um,
No, Nick,
so I
Nick,
just
before
went
you
and did a
answer,
quick
which
look
four
up.
do you
Yeah,
advocate to
okay,
be removed?
that's nice. I just did a quick look up, Crystal. Depending on the scholar, less than 1%, but definitely less than 3% of women could read at the time of Jesus. That means that women were not educated at all. Probably because they were not permitted into places of education to be educated. So
Also, I
he's
just want you to
failing.
know, before Jesus, women held significant power, leadership, religious authority, property rights, and even rulership
General, normal, common
in
woman. Sure,
many
Bob.
areas. Yeah, general, normal, common women. Okay. You would have to know more than your little Bible verses, okay? You have to learn more than that to know that.
Like a history book, maybe, perhaps too.
Like the Nabateans, I'm probably saying that round. That was an interesting example. They lived around Petra, Arabia, southern Levant. That was before and during Jesus's lifetime. The women there owned property, inherited wealth, signed legal contracts, appeared publicly in inscriptions, exercised political influence. Yes, they were educated, they held power, and they had money. And your Jesus wasn't there yet to tell people to treat them that way. Then there was ancient Egypt where women owned land. They could divorce their husbands. They ran businesses. They inherited property and they became pharaohs. Yes, that is true. Women in ancient Egypt did not need Jesus and they were treated like royalty. Oh. Then we'll talk about the Celts. We can talk about the Minoans. We could talk about the Spartans. But no matter what, you're just wrong.
Okay, so just so we're understanding, you have said that those 4 core principles are all lived out holistically throughout history before Jesus. Common, nameless, known by name, equal in status, kings over servitude.
By the way, I don't see equal to status in that verse at all. At all.
Oh, so you are, so you're beneath
He is still
me or
Lord
above
to
me?
them. No, those women believed they were below Jesus. In that
Jesus
story.
has a woman at his
They
feet
called him
next
Lord.
to the men in the exact same action and status. She's not lesser. She's sitting next to Jesus with the men at his feet, getting the exact same
I do not
education,
care.
same thing
I
as
do
the
not.
man.
No, she was not. Not one woman was a
She is,
disciple
he
of
says.
Jesus'.
Where's
Not
Mary?
one woman.
At his feet.
Not one
Where
woman
did this
wrote
recite?
a gospel. I do
Listen, at
not
the feet.
care. He wanted her probably to wash his feet or he needed money. He was living off of the women's wealth.
Okay. Wow.
Just because
Wow.
you call me into the room where a bunch of men are sitting doesn't mean you're giving me equal status.
Oh, but me defending your choice to choose that over household servitude? Come on, you must go and work in the kitchen. No, it's a moral ought for me to defend your choice for education over working in the household. And Nicholas, by the way, I'm a Christian because I follow Jesus, not Christians. I promise you, if I play Beethoven badly, you can't blame Beethoven. This constant, Christians. I'm not a Christian because of Christians. I'm a Christian because of Jesus. Find fault in
No,
him.
but we're talking
Yes.
about the treatment of
I
women
have.
by
I found much
Christians
fault
throughout
with him.
history. And your
not gonna-
ancestors, Christian ancestors, did horrific things to women, not just their own women,
Yes,
but women of
course.
other countries. Why would you follow a religion that did
Because I
horrific
also-
things to people in order to push the narrative? Because let me tell you something. If God was the one true God, if Jesus was the one true Son and Messiah, y'all wouldn't have needed y'all's ancestors would not needed a sword to convert people. They wouldn't have had
Okay,
to
so-
rape women to convert people.
That's great.
Do you
So,
understand that?
I understand all of what you're saying. I get it. Again, I'm not following that. Very simple. In history, who's the first community to come up with the word child corrupter, child abuser? It's the Christians. Who's the first people to willingly risk their lives, die to save a child being sexually abused?
Hold
Christians.
on, stop.
No,
Who was the highest?
whoa,
Christian.
whoa, whoa,
But you-
whoa, 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 whoa. please sometimes let me handle it. I can't yell over both of you. Okay, first of all, you don't get to come up here and just shout out claims without backing up a goddamn word you're saying. And second of all, when you create a problem and then you fix it, you're not a fucking hero, okay? So don't even get me started about how many men on a goddamn motherfucking daily basis sexually abuse children in the church and then get away with it because other men in the church protect them. Don't get me started on that shit. And you really, yeah, he ran. He should run. He should run. He should really fucking run. You have got to be kidding me. They've got 2 Marys in the whole Bible that I'm supposed to say that those Marys alone make Christianity worth it. You guys couldn't even come up with a different name for the women in the Bible. And your excuse is, well, Mary was a popular name back then. No, it wasn't. Not that popular. There wasn't even that many motherfucking people. So it wasn't that popular. What are you talking about? It became popular years later because people were like, I want a Bible name. Hey, let's pick out a girl Bible name. Oh, looks like most of the girls are named Mary. Let's pick that one. Let's face it, the writers did not give a shit what they named women in that Bible, so they went Mary, Mary, and Mary.
Miriam, Mary, yep.
It's the truth. It's just the truth. I'm sorry. I was supposed to not get mad today. You guys, I'm not good at this.
I think it's
There
kind of
also
funny
might
that
be,
oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, there might also be a lag because I've noticed that when I stop talking, you're still telling me to time out. So I think you're still hearing me talk, even though when
Oh,
I'm not talking. And I'm like, I stopped
it's
talking, I
really
promise.
weird.
But I don't know if the lag's on my end or yours. But yeah. So if that's
I don't know
happening, I
either.
just to let you know. Yeah, I think that's what's happening. I think there's some lag going on. It could be my internet. I don't know.
And you know I hush you with love anyway. You
Oh,
know
I
I love
know.
you,
I
so.
know.
Anyway, Carl, what were you going to say?
No, I was just gonna say that I think it's kind of funny that the 2 persons that came up to talk about the same topic, they were men. Like it's kind of funny that men like to tell women how they're gonna benefit the Christianity they came up with and how they have taken advantage of women hundreds and thousands of years and then try to justify with single Bible verses and
Yeah, you know,
1 or 2
I should kind of
1 or
write
2
it down
stories.
because so far they haven't really told me anything. What? This is what I got so far, right? What Christianity has to offer women is that Jesus came from a woman. Is that?
You know, to be
And then the
fair,
second one. Go ahead, Ike. What?
I was just gonna say, to be fair, that first guy did say that what Christianity does for women is
Oh, we're losing you, Ike.
We lost you, Ike. We can't hear you.
Baby, come back. You can blame it. Maybe today's just a bad day for internet.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I cut out for a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, hello.
Are
I'm
you
sorry.
are you
All
back?
I was saying is
Hey,
that first guy, his reason was because you can find a man at church. That's something
yeah,
about a
that was
husband
another
and
reason.
kids.
So yeah, okay. So one was that Jesus came from a woman, and 2 was you could find a man at church. Okay, Lurian, can I get your age for TikTok purposes? And are you a Christian or a believer of the God of the Bible?
Yes, I'm 39. Yes, I'm a Christian. I'm a Catholic. So
Okay,
a
and I'm
particular
so sorry.
kind of
I
Christian.
should be asking to what pronouns do you prefer? He, him, she, her, or they, them?
Him is fine since I'm a guy. So yeah.
Okay, all right. Here are the 3 topics. You get to pick one. Was the world perfect before the fall? 2, what is your philosophy on God? And 3, what does Christianity have to offer a woman? Which topic would you like to discuss today?
Okay, I will do the third one, even though they're all interesting. But the third one, because not a
Okay.
lot of people know this, it was actually the Christian church, early Christian church, that gave women, that brought up the concept that women have equal rights. At the time, under the pagan Roman Empire and before the advent of Christianity, you have, in many cultures, they throw away baby girls. They throw away, especially when they are deformed, they throw them away. So then Christians will go to the refuse. Christians will go to the refuse dump, collect those little kids, and raise them. And then, until Christianity became legal.
And marry them and grape them and do all
No.
kinds of horrible things to them, which they have done throughout
Well,
history. But we just talked to another gentleman who tried to make the same claim that somehow there weren't any cultures out there that loved or venerated women, but that's just not true. I listed several
no,
earlier.
that's
I'll
not
give
true.
you a
Yeah.
quick
No,
rundown.
no,
The
he will be wrong.
Nabateans, ancient Egypt, the Celts, the Minoans, the Spartans. So that's not
So
something
he
that
was
you
wrong.
offer
Yeah,
me,
he
because
was wrong.
Christian men actually are fervently working to take away my rights as a woman and as an equal. So just because you also fight, some of you fight to give them back and some of you fight to take them away, that's not a good thing that you're offering
Yeah,
me.
of course. I can even make the argument that I'm not a good Christian, and those men are not good Christians, and say that we are wrong. But that's a
Yes,
different
oh,
claim
I think
than
that they
saying
are
that
according to the Bible.
oh, well, that's according to your reading of the Bible. But I will say that even people in
No,
the
that's
church
according to
can
what the
actually
Bible
violate,
says.
but you're presupposing your understanding of what the Bible
No, I'm
says.
not presupposing. No, I
Okay,
have reading
so
comprehension. I've been tested, and I scored very high in reading comprehension.
okay, so why do we have different Protestant churches disagreeing with one another?
Oh, because you guys decide to interpret it instead of read it for what it says.
No, I'm not a Protestant, I'm a Catholic. But why do Protestant denominations disagree
Right.
with one another?
Ego.
And Catholics have had many churches break off from them just because you decided to stay with Catholic. There's Catholic Orthodox. There is the Eastern Orthodox Church. You all think that you have the right recipe for how it is to get to heaven, when in reality, you're just a bunch of narcissists who can't admit that one of you could be wrong.
Okay, forget about the Catholic Church. Okay, now they've separated. Fine, beautiful. Now they are splintered into 1,000 denominations. Why? What? They all read the same Bible,
Because
right?
you keep interpreting the Bible instead of reading it for what it says. Stop interpreting it
Good,
and read what
good,
it fucking says.
good. So according to you, tell me if I'm wrong,
Okay,
okay? So
good.
tell me if
So
I'm wrong.
according to the Bible,
Wait,
women
let me
are
finish.
beneath men.
Let me
Women
get it
are
out.
not loved by God. Women are property. That's not
Can I
that's
just
not a religion I want to be in as a
let,
woman. It doesn't seem
so
like it offers me very much.
so let me get it out so you actually know what you respond to, okay? So when we already grant you, okay, the church was bad, the church want to interpret only for himself or whatever. Okay, the split has happened, okay? Martin Luther has already separated himself from the church. We have Church of England. Now, down the line, you have thousands of denominations, and you are saying all of them are not understanding the Bible. But you, critically Crystal, are the only person, insofar as they disagree with you, you are the
No,
infallible
no, I'm
authority
so
who
far.
correctly reads the Bible.
Oh, no. No, I'm not
What?
the only
Yes, of
person.
course.
There's Oh, you're not listening. I am not the only person.
No,
There are.
I said except
Listen,
you
listen,
and the people who agree with you.
Oh my God. And the people who agree with me, the Bible scholars that
Yes.
actually study this, the historians and archaeologists and scientists
So
who
yes is the
all agree
answer
with
then.
me. Those are people.
So yes is the answer.
Yes, those people are
Okay,
correct.
then you should have said
Yes,
yes. You shouldn't be
absolutely.
denying it.
Y'all are. I denied that it was just me. I denied that it
And
was just
people
me.
who have your understanding, because we are not talking about all scholars, but only you and people who shared your understanding, your particular understanding of the text.
Scholars,
Good.
Scholars.
And exactly.
scientists,
Okay, fine.
historians, archaeologists,
Fine.
geologists,
That's all fine. That's all fine. Not only
cosmologists,
insofar, but only insofar
physicists.
as they agree, but only insofar as they are in alignment with your view,
Linguists.
your particular understanding. If they are not, then they are wrong
Linguists.
ipso facto, according to you.
Well, listen, Lurian, do you think that people who don't agree with you are wrong?
Yes, because the church is the ultimate authority.
Right. So of course, what a stupid thing. So of course, people who don't agree with me, I think they're wrong because I think I'm right. Duh. Like I wouldn't
We're
have
not
an
making the same
opinion
claim.
if I didn't think I was
We're,
right.
we're not making
Yes, we
I'm
are.
part of
We're
the
making the
church, so I
exact
know
same
ultimate
claim.
authority. I'm part
we're
of the
not
real
making the
church, so
same
I know
claim
everything. I'm part of
because
the only real church, so I know everything that there is to know about the Bible.
okay, so we're not making the same claim because I don't say you should trust what I say, and I'm saying nobody should trust what you say. We all should trust what the church says, the church from which we get the Bible.
I am
Yes,
not
we should
going
all
to
trust the
trust
Catholic
what
Church.
the church. I am not going to trust what the church says. The church has proven to be full of liars, to be full of P3dios, to be full of thieves, to be full of political agendas and biases, to be full of men who want to do harm to women as a whole. No, I'm not going to listen to your church. Show me what Christianity has to offer.
You are not making a good argument. We are talking about whether the church is just like the same way people say because colonialism gave us some
I'm not
education.
making
That's
a
because
good
it's white
argument
man.
as to
No, no,
why
no.
I shouldn't trust the church.
Yes.
Wait a minute.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm sorry. You guys, put a 1 in chat if you understood why I don't trust the church by the argument I just said. Please put a 1 in chat if you understood why I don't trust the church.
No, I
Because if you
understand what you're
understand,
saying.
then I made a good argument.
I understand your argument. I said
I
it's
think
not
that
good.
if you show that you are not trustworthy, then I should not trust you.
That's your argument. It has nothing to do with whether the claim is true or false. Somebody can be corrupt, morally corrupt, and still make good argument or have truth.
But that your church doesn't make good arguments; they make stupid arguments.
then
Your
focus
church
on
does
that. Then
things
focus on
like
that.
your church does things like this. We're gonna make claims about the disciples, and we're gonna say that we own relics and stuff. And then when scientists and historians and other people come in and say, "Well, can we study it so we can?" No, we have it though. Just trust us, bro. Trust.
Now
Trust
we're talking. Now
in
we're
me.
talking.
And they have been caught with so many forged relics over the history. So why would I believe a fucking word that your church fathers and leaders have to say? Why would I believe anything they have to say?
I'll
They
tell
are
you why.
corrupt AF.
I'll tell you why. Again, you don't have to believe because you are in a Western world. So it's now me first before truth, okay? My subjectivity before truth. So it doesn't matter. You can say 2 + 2 is 3 or is 2. I say, no, I don't believe you because I'm American or I'm English. Because liberalism,
Make your
I can choose
point
what I
because
want.
you aren't
But
saying
again,
shit.
hey, shut up.
Make
Let me
your
make my
point.
point, okay?
Dude, you ain't saying
Shut
shit.
up.
Make your fucking
Shut
point.
up.
Where's the benefit? I haven't heard
Don't
one
get
fucking
triggered.
benefit yet.
Don't get
You're
triggered.
supposed to come up here and make the positive claim, and I
That's
haven't
a
heard you say
meltdown.
shit.
Someone is having a meltdown.
Make the point,
Someone is
because
having
I
a
have heard
meltdown.
that the Catholic Church is the authority on everything.
Okay. So
Oh
get
my
to
gosh.
the point. What is
So,
the
yeah.
benefit?
Yeah, so before that meltdown, I was saying that you can actually, contend with the truth claims, and you seem to be doing that now, of recently, instead of just okay, because they unalive people, because they are horrible people in the church, horrible people like me. It's meant for horrible people. If not, good people don't go to
They're
church. You
your
don't need the church if
leaders.
you're a good
No,
person.
your Bible tells you that if your leaders are corrupt, they shouldn't be your fucking leaders. The fact that you guys keep them your leaders, move them around to different dioceses, tells me that the entire organization is corrupt, and you're okay, and you give your money to it every week because you're afraid you might go to hell. And just because
No.
you're scared and you're a weak, tiny little man who is scared about some afterlife that nobody has ever been able to prove exists, just because you're scared and you are like, I will bow down to the authority of any man. Oh my God, men are always right, and I'm going to believe anything a man tells me. Doesn't mean I have to. I have listened to the men from your church speak for decades. They're idiots. They're liars, they're cheats, they're thieves, they're corrupt. Why would I ever listen to them again?
So the reason why you should listen, you don't have to listen to any individual person, okay? Men are liars, men are cheaters, even in the church. In fact, the church is meant for
All of
corrupt
them,
people.
your
So
whole
I'll give you the
church,
reason.
your whole
I'll give you
church
the reason.
system.
No,
It's
no, it's not the
it's
whole
not
church.
about
No,
one
it's not the whole
person.
church.
It's about the
No, it's not the whole
system.
church because
It's your whole church
because
system. Yes, it
because
is.
there are a lot of women.
The
There are a lot
Catholic
of
Church is
women like
corrupt
you.
as fuck.
There are a lot of women like you who expose these people, these monsters, okay? There are a lot of women like you in the church who expose these bad men and sometimes women, these monsters, okay? You don't have to taint them with the horrible behavior of bad men. A lot of them actually in the hierarchy, okay? So the reason why you should take what the church, at least the church's understanding of things pertaining the Bible, is because that's where you get the text from. That's the authority.
No, I do. I get it from Jewish people who wrote it, you idiot. Jewish people wrote the Bible, not the Catholic Church.
The Jewish people wrote the New Testament.
No, yes, Jewish people wrote the New Testament.
Who
What?
is the Jewish? Okay, the Jewish Christians, right? The Jewish followers of Christ, right?
They became Christians after Jesus, but they were Jewish up until.
Okay, so who? Okay, after those set of early Christians, who did they pass down the authority to?
Have you ever heard
I
of
don't know.
Saul Tarsus
Actually,
Paul?
Yeah, after the first
you know,
century.
according
Do
to
you know
you all,
any?
Paul was a Pharisee, even though I don't believe that bullshit for 1 minute. So according to you, most of the books were written by Paul, who was also Jewish, according to you. So why you're so confused about me saying Jews wrote the Bible is really fucking confusing to me. Most of the Bible is the Old Testament, by the way, which was entirely written by Jews, okay? So why don't you get off of this topic and start telling me what the fuck does Christianity have to offer to women?
I was asking you for
Because all I've
clarification.
seen is what
You
it
said
offers to men.
you said it was Jewish people, so I asked to get some clarification whether you are talking about the Jewish people who rejected Christ or the Jewish people who accepted Christ. Now to your question about what Christianity brought to women, I told you, and you don't have to take my word for it, you can look it up. Christianity gave women equality. You today, what's your
They
name? Critically
took equality
critical.
away,
You
gave them a little bit of
so
equality, and they're trying to take that away again. Get
okay.
the fuck
Of
out
course,
of
there are
here with
many.
equality. You fucking Christian
So
men come after my rights more than any other group in history. Get the
you
fuck
are making
out
a
of here
different
with
argument.
that.
So you're making a different argument.
It's
The
like
one I'm not
it's like
making,
people
okay?
who come up here and tell me that Christians freed the slaves after they enslaved them. After they enslaved them. So after taking away all my
Yeah.
rights, you give me a few rights back because we told you all, if you don't start giving us rights, we're not fucking you. And we're not going to give you
So we're
children.
saying,
And you went, oh my God, women aren't going to fuck us. We got to do something. Hey, maybe if we give them a little something, let them work. Maybe let them have a checkbook or something. And in the
so
1970s, the 1970s, my mom got to finally have a bank account in her name, okay? What are you fucking talking about? Right.
I said, what's right?
We are
Okay,
not equal.
let's
You and I are not
let's see.
equal.
Okay,
I don't have the
let's
rights you
see.
do in my country, and they're taking them away more and more every day.
What rights do you have before it was being taken away? And when did you have that right? When did you have that right?
Oh my
And when
God.
was it taken away? That was the
When
question.
is
That's the challenge
Christianity
to
going to
you.
give me all my rights back? Then they might have something to offer me. When are they going to
Tell me
let me
what
be
rights?
100% equal to men? I
What
want
right?
body autonomy. I want the
Body
right to vote
autonomy.
never to be questioned. Yeah. I want to be paid
Body
equal to men.
autonomy.
I want there to be
Okay.
just as many women who are
Equal
CEOs
pay.
to companies. I want,
Okay.
I don't know, you guys, what else do we want? We want everything
Slow
equal.
down.
Do
Slow
you know
down.
what
Slow down.
everything
Slow
equal
down. I'm
means?
writing them. Slow down. I'm
It would
writing
be
them down. You
excellent
said bodily
if
autonomy.
men did get
No, this is too
compensated
Bodily
long.
for
autonomy.
accidental.
I'm not
So
gonna
you
wait.
said
I'm
equal
not gonna
pay.
wait for you to write it down. I'm not gonna
No, okay,
wait for
I
you
got
to write
some.
it down. I've told you what I fucking want. Now fucking tell me when Christianity is gonna give me
So
all of that.
so I got some already. Okay, I got some already. So when this right you
No,
are
you don't.
claiming
I don't have those
does
things.
so this right you are claiming are not inherent rights. Okay, nobody has this right. Not men, not women. Okay, you are making a claim because you just
Oh my
think,
God,
yeah,
you're an
men have
idiot.
this.
Okay,
Therefore, it's my right to have this.
Karu,
Here's
what
something
did
that
you
is
want to
wrong.
say? I'm kind of sick. I'm kind of sick of listening to him. Go ahead, Karu. What were you gonna
He
say?
gave you equal rights. It came from Christianity.
Karu. Her name is Karu. Karu, what do you want to say?
Relevant. It's irrelevant.
You done, Lurian?
Of course.
Okay. So you're claiming that Christianity gave women equality. I think Christianity didn't give women shit. Actually, women fought to have those rights we have today, and now you are taking them away. That's all I wanted
Did
to say.
women fight? Okay, women fought whom? Men, right? Men, right?
Hierarchy, Ben.
Yes.
Okay, and men gave you that right, right?
Women fought to
You
have
gave
those
us a
rights.
right, or we
You didn't
fought
give us
for
shit.
them. We fought for
Yeah,
them.
I want to clearly understand you, okay? You fought. When you say you fought for them, like did you just, like you're protesting, or you actually fought men, and men kind of you defeated the
Do
men,
you
and
think
men say,
that no
oh,
women
then you
have?
fought men, you took
Do you
your
think
right.
that no women? Do you think that women have not actually had to physically fight men during our fight for our rights? Do you think we physically have not had to do that? Do you really think
Yeah, I think
that women have not physically had to physically fight?
yeah, I think if women
Because
had
we
physically
have.
fought men,
Women
you
have
will not have the right you
died.
have today.
Women have died. Well, we have, and women have died too.
So
And I find the fact that you're so dismissive is the fact that you also do think that you're above women. You actually don't believe we're equal. So what you said was a lie when you said Christianity gave us
so
equal
I don't
rights,
think
because you
so.
don't think we're equal.
We're
Shut the
equal.
fuck up. I'm talking right now and I'm the host.
We're equal. You don't
And
believe
so
we
we're
are
not
equal.
equal
You
here.
don't believe you are
Can
equal.
somebody get on the
It's
mute
you
button,
who don't
please?
believe we're
Get on the
equal.
mute
I
button.
do
I
believe
need a
we're.
mod to do a job. Thank you, please. I really appreciate it. So here's the thing I just clocked. You don't think we're equal, but you lied and said that Christianity gave us equal rights. So you don't have anything to fucking offer women. What you want to offer women is just a fucking carrot on a stick, because you want women to produce little babies for you and be your little fuck buddy whenever you get horny. And that's what all you men have wanted. And that is all you have used us for. And that is all Christianity fights for. And I'm so fucking sick of it. You have nothing to offer women in your religion. Not a goddamn thing.
I'm saying you don't believe in equality. You don't believe it. I'll press you and confirm, and you prove that you don't believe in equality.
You haven't addressed anything I've said, and until you do, I'm
Because
not
I'm saying that you
fucking
cannot
listening
make
to
sense of
words you're
equality.
saying. Address a goddamn thing I just
I'm
said.
addressing it. You cannot make sense of.
No, you're not. No, you're not. You're
Cannot make
thinking
sense of
that you
equality
have to
without
explain
Christianity.
something to me, but I do not need you to explain anything to me. I don't need men to explain things to me.
Gave you rights.
Men gave me rights, right? Men just gave them to me.
No.
Yes, because you did not fight men physically. You would have not had rights if you fought men.
Men didn't give us
Lyrian,
shit.
Lyrian, how many women
So
had
how
to
did you fight? How did you get your rights?
Lyrian, how many women have unalived in just the last, let's go 500 years alone, at the hands of
I don't
men?
want to do this with him.
a lot of
I
women.
want him to address the fact
I'm
that
not
he
saying that.
lied when he came up here. And until he addresses that, we're not discussing another goddamn thing with him. He lied and said that Christianity gave us equal rights while he sits up here thinking that he is above women and he and men can give us rights because they're above us. So he lied when he said that Christianity gave women equal rights. And until he fucking admits that and addresses that, we talk about nothing else. Not a goddamn thing
You're not
else.
understanding the difference between inalienable rights, which nobody gave you. God gave it to you because you exist, and the right government give you, the right you get from men.
You
Those are
lied.
different. Those are
You
different.
lied.
I told you, don't take my word for
You're
it.
a
Look it up.
liar.
Stop being ignorant,
You're a
okay?
liar.
Stop being ignorant. Look it up,
You said
okay?
that
You're your life and you're
Christianity gave us
spreading
equal
ignorance. Look
rights,
it up.
but you don't
You can't make
believe
sense
that we're
of your
equal.
inalienable
So that
right
means
without
you knew
Christianity.
that
That's what I said.
Christianity didn't give us equal rights. You lied the whole
It's repeating
time. You
something
knew
you
that
cannot
Christianity
justify.
offered nothing for women. You
History
lied.
disagrees with
And
you.
until you admit it, I'm not going to talk about anything else. You lied
You
and
are just
said
repeating
that
nonsense.
Christianity gave
I
us equal
said,
rights while you still
yes,
think
yes,
that
that's
we're not
history.
equal.
That's historical.
You didn't think we were
That is
equal.
history.
So you're just a liar. So you know
We
that
are
we don't have
equal.
equal rights, and yet you're claiming
We
that
do have
Christianity
equal
gave it
rights.
to
We
us.
do have
There's
equal
no
rights.
way Christianity gave us equal rights if you think that you are not my equal. If you think you are better than me, that means you don't think we're equal. So I'm going to tell you again, you lied. You're a liar, and you're just a little piece of shit. And there's other people in the box waiting to talk to me who I'm sure. You know what? I actually don't have time today. I was done playing with my food. I'm sorry, guys. I have to go. I have a doctor's appointment today, and I am nervous about it. I know you guys know that several years back, I had stage 3 malignant melanoma. And so every once in a while, we have to be checked for things, and they're going to check for cancer again. And it always makes me nervous every fucking time. It's probably nothing, okay? It's probably nothing. But I am nervous. Got to go see the doc, and I probably won't know for a while what the results are, but I'll keep you all posted. Anyway, thank you for putting up with my nonsense, my yelling and screaming. I'm sorry, but I guess I get mad that men, you can't even see the question. I have to tell them what the question is, and then they still pick that one. And it gets me every time. But I hope you guys had fun. Did you guys have fun?
Always. I did. I want to point out I asked him over and over again, name one benefit. I have not heard one. Name it. And he didn't
Not
answer
one.
it. And he didn't answer one fucking question. Not one.
No. Nope. He just kept trying to say that Christianity gave women equal rights by somehow still claiming that we're not equal, which is really weird. So anyway, I love you, YouTube. I think I got you working today, and I will get the other videos up over on YouTube. I'm really bad at doing all the things I have to do, but I love you guys. I hope you have a wonderful day. Is there somebody we could raid right now? Does anybody have somebody they love is live or something that we can go raid? Let me go look. Who is live? It looks like CrystalJae God is live. Let's all head over to CrystalJae.